Here, present. Thank you very much. So very quickly, before we begin, I do want to make the announcement. This evening, the intention was to have our monthly hearing where the topic was going to be a discussion and the collection of testimony with respect to cannabis licenses, the state legislation, and the implementation in terms of how the licenses are going to be rolled out and the community board's role. We were initially trying to get Office of Cannabis Management to come and present, where we would be able to at least collect some initial testimony. We were not able to get them to come for this evening. And in lieu of starting a conversation where we're not necessarily on the same level, as a board or as a district in terms of the information and what the correct protocol is, we're going to postpone that conversation. District manager and I are going to speak along with the Public Safety Committee. We'll have representation. We'll speak with OCM, at which point we will actually have them come back and present to the board in terms of the legislation and the process in terms of the role of the community board with respect to that. So I do apologize in advance that we are not able to have that this evening. We are going to make sure that there is a serious conversation that happens with respect to that, as soon as possible. So with that, we are actually going to go directly into the meeting. Madam Secretary, are you prepared to take the minutes?
Ready, sir.
Thank you very much. So the time is now 7:06 p.m. I want to welcome everyone to our last Community Board 9 General Board meeting for 2022. So I just want to start off on this note. Thank you so much for all the work the board has been doing, for all the work that the committees have been doing as well, for the leadership, for the chairs, for the members going diligently to their meetings. We've done a lot this year, and I think it's really important to recognize that right off the bat. In terms of there's a lot of work that has been done. And as board chair, I just want to say I thank everyone. But as we say that as well, I think as will be seen in some of the reports and in the chairman's report and the district manager's report, there's a lot of work left for us still in this board year. So as I say, thank you. We're going to commence with our meeting. We are going to waive the reading of the rules of conduct. Again, as always, in our CB9 meetings, one principle I ask that everyone adhere to is respect. So we make sure that we are not speaking out of turn. We make sure that microphones are muted if you are not speaking, if you haven't been recognized. Please wait for recognition before you speak as well. Typically, when we open the floor for questions, I will take a speakers list to make sure that everyone is recognized and everyone has a fair opportunity to speak. When we do that as well, I will let everyone everyone will have an opportunity to speak once. After that, we will allow people to have a second comment. But in order to move the agenda, we will only allow for two people, for a member to speak twice on a particular topic, and then we have to close and we have to move. I would also ask that anyone who's speaking as well, please be cognizant of, with the questions as well. We want to make sure that we're moving the agenda. So if we can keep questions limited, and at certain points there may just be, because we have to move the agenda, we're not able to entertain the questions there. But I and the district office are always open in terms of being able to answer questions offline as appropriate and necessary. So with that, we have no presentation scheduled for this evening. Now I'm going to move on to SLA applications, at which time we have two that have been added to the agenda by the executive committee this evening. I saw the chair of public safety. Primo, are you there?
I'm here. My apologies.
No worries. Would you please present the two applications that were given to public safety?
Yes, absolutely. And so I want to begin with our first applicant. And for those of you who would like to follow along, you should have this in your inbox with two applications for the SLA applicants. One is Queen of Scots, DBA Fiona's. The other is Restaurant Associates and Hudson Yards. And so we're going to start off with the first one on the agenda, which is which is Fiona's. And so if you are interested and would like to pull up the application and just kind of like follow along, first of all, this is a renewal application. So this is a bar that is on Flatbush Avenue at 562 Flatbush. It's kind of right on that corner where the bar Irv's used to be. It's just on the other side of the street there, and on the corner it faces Flatbush. It has been open for several years now. It has a full liquor, beer, and wine license as it identifies as a bar. And they have a license that goes until 4 a.m., given kind of like the location of the bar. They have shared that they are typically not open until 4 a.m. And I'll let the owner of the restaurant, Adrian, who's joined us here tonight, share a little bit more about kind of some of the ways that they've been integrated into the community and speak on behalf of their restaurant, their bar as well. They have 4 a.m. license on Friday and Saturday, and then they are 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. on Monday through Thursday, as well as Sunday. They do serve some food in the spot, and there is a menu that is attached as well. We have, of course, touched base with the FDNY and the NYPD, and there are 0 noise complaints for the location. So it is the recommendation of the committee to renew this license. And I'll pass it over to Adrian to say a little bit about Fiona's, and then we can open it up to questions if that suits Fred.
Okay, hi, everybody. Pardon me, I'm a little sick today. Yeah, Fiona's has been, we signed the lease there in 2017, believe it or not. And it took a long time to get permitting. There were problems with the building, whatever, and then we got hit with COVID. So we were a COVID baby. We were building out during COVID, and we opened in March of 2021. So we, despite the fact that we've had the lease for a long time, we've been open for just under 2 years. It's a full service bar with a full kitchen. It's a small kitchen, but it's full menu, sandwiches, shared appetizers, that sort of thing. And we are loving the neighborhood. We've been in and around the neighborhood for years. We have good friends in the neighborhood. We're over in Prospect Heights. We have another bar over in the South Slope. So we're not really new to the game as far as the bar thing. And we have found nothing but love in the neighborhood. We're having a lot of success, and we feel like we've been able to just come in and be comfortable and welcome everybody, welcome all comers, and loving the diverse community of PLG. And we're seeing everybody in the bar, all kinds of folks in the bar, and we haven't had any serious problems. As Primo said, we haven't had any issues with police presence or noise complaints or any of that as so far. So it's been very, COVID aside, it's been pretty smooth sailing.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Adrian. And one other thing that you mentioned in the committee meeting that I thought would be helpful is just kind of if you could share a little bit about your hiring practices from the local community.
We are almost entirely staffed by local folks. I think I'm in Prospect Heights, and I'm probably the furthest one away. Everybody walks to work. I can walk to work. So it is very community, locally based people. Yeah, we try to keep it local, because if you're working locally, your neighborhood friends are going to come in and see you. There's no point having someone coming from, it's also easier commute, but there's no point having someone come from Queens or Manhattan that doesn't know anybody in the neighborhood. You want your bartenders to be familiar with the people they're serving and have their friends and their friends' friends and all that come in. So it's almost entirely staffed with people from within basically a short train ride or walking distance, including our cooks. One of our cooks rides his bike to work. So it is very local in terms of staffing.
Great. Thanks so much. Fred, would you like to open it up to the community for questions at this point, or would you like to move on to the second application?
Let's take questions. Any questions for this applicant first, and then we'll move to the second.
I see Milford has his hand raised. Oh, yeah, sorry, it's not my job to do.
How you doing? All right. I was curious, what's the cross street?
We're on the corner of Flatbush and Beekman.
Flatbush and Beekman. Oh, the dead end street.
Correct, yes. We're facing our egress, our door is on Flatbush, our main front of the business.
Oh,
and
right. Okay, all right. I know that place. Okay.
It was a Subway sub shop for a long time.
Yeah. You guys are restaurant compliant. I mean, ADA compliant too, right?
Absolutely, yep.
including the bathrooms.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I would ask if anybody else has questions for the applicant, we're gonna close the list. So Kyrie, I do see you. Are there any other questions for the applicant? Okay, I don't see any other hands. Dante, team, do you see any other hands?
No other hands. Kyrie lowered his hand, confirm.
Well, because I thought I was going to speak now, so.
You did the right thing. You get to speak now. Okay, and we're gonna close on you. Hold on, we had a late hand. I'm sorry. And then Suki after you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes. Oh, hi, good evening, everyone, and good evening again. I know you just presented before the Public Safety Committee. I apologize for not asking this question last week. My question is, you mentioned that you have other bars throughout other neighborhoods. Do you have security at any of your bars that may also operate until 4 a.m. in these other communities?
We do not have security at Freddy's is our other bar. We don't have security. We have security every night at Fiona's. And as Primo mentioned, I think earlier, we have a 4 a.m. license at Fiona's, but we only stay open until 2. We're open 2 to 2 every single day.
No, okay, so that was a great response because on your application, you listed there is no security, but that would have been my only concern for other applicants that have come before the board that extend past 2 a.m. or just about 2 a.m. on the weekends. We just asked if security would be present, and you did say that you do have security, so maybe that was just an error on the application.
That might be my fault. Yes, we have security every evening.
So that's perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kyrie. Great question.
Okay, Suki, I see your hand raised. You have the floor. I'm gonna close on you.
Hi, Adrian. I'm just wondering how often you have clients in the bar, even until 2 a.m. Just because sometimes I drive down the avenue at that hour very occasionally, and I honestly have not seen anyone open except for a certain bar that wasn't you that had some issues with the community. So I'm just wondering how often you actually, even go as late as 2 a.m.
We always stay open until 2 a.m. You'd be surprised. We get a lot of industry people on any given night. I mean, Friday and Saturday are always going to have late night people, even on Thursdays, frankly. But we've developed a pretty good relationship with the other restaurants and bars in the neighborhood, with Midwood as being our closest neighbor, Bluebird down the street. And both of them, for instance, close at midnight or 1. Bluebird sometimes changes what time they close, 11, 12. But we often get folks coming in after work, after their shift. They finish at midnight, they want to have a drink and complain about work just like everybody else. So it's generally industry people that we get late night, but we almost always have someone there till 2 a.m. Having a drink after their work, after their work day.
So it's almost like a little private party.
Yeah, well, industry people like to like an indie industry. I would imagine they want to commiserate with other people in the industry and just complain about work or talk about work or just relax after a tough shift. So Midwood, our Midwood and Westbury and all the other bars and restaurants, all the folks on Lincoln, we kind of cross pollinate. I go to Midwood and eat all the time, and they come in at late night and have a drink after their shift. So they're almost their entire kitchen staff often comes in too. So we kind of cross pollinate in that way, that a lot of us know each other, and it's good to kind of know what's going on at other establishments too. If there's a problem with an individual or an ongoing problem with anything in the neighborhood, it's good to have everybody on the same page, to be on a first name basis with a lot of those people, and we certainly are. But a lot of them do come in after work.
I see. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for the great questions. Fred, would you like me to move on to applicant number 2?
Floor is yours, sir.
All right, Adrian, thanks so much for being here. Just so you know, from a process perspective, we will be holding a vote at kind of the very end of the meeting, the business end of the meeting. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to leave. It's up to you. Of
Okay, thanks. Thanks for your time, everyone.
course.
You're welcome.
Okay, Second applicant. So the second applicant for us, and the representative is here, Colleen Mineo from Restaurant Associates. It is named, it's a long name. It's called Restaurant Associates LLC and Hudson Yards Catering. I would say that we can also say that it's better known as like Union Square Hospitality. Is that what it's called? Union Square Hospitality,
Yes.
which is Danny Meyer's restaurant group, for those of you who aren't familiar. And Danny Meyer's the guy behind like 11 Madison and also Shake Shack. And so they have taken over the catering agreement for the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. And so the catering agreement was previously held by Patina Group. It is now switching to Union Square Hospitality. And as such, they have come before the community board in order to apply for a liquor license for things like weddings and et cetera that get held at the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. This is a large group and they do a lot of hiring in the community. And so I think like the committee looked at the fact that they said that they were going to be hiring 34 jobs, and that's a large chunk of jobs. And so we talked with the representative, Colleen, who spoke with the restaurant group, and we essentially asked for them to make a commitment towards local hiring, which they did. And so they have attached a letter here to the application as well that says that there is a commitment towards trying to achieve 50% of the workforce being hired from the local community. They've also done a number of job fairs locally and also cared for the workers who are at Patina by kind of offering them the opportunity to interview for jobs with Union Square Hospitality at the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. And then just another kind of like idea, and I would just want to also like really give credit to like Kyrie for raising this as a point that like we should dig into. And then I also want to thank the executive committee for also asking and kind of pushing this idea that we should be sharing these hiring links, and we should really as a community board see ourselves as partners in the hiring process for establishments that are applying for liquor licenses. And so they've also made a commitment to sharing those hiring links, which should be active, Colleen, correct me if I'm wrong, by about Monday. And so we can also share those out with the local community. And so it was really great to have this conversation with Union Square Hospitality. They've been very open and receptive to this. And I also, again, just want to commend the committee for keeping the community's best interest at heart in this process. And I think we're going to start shifting. We are shifting in that direction. In terms of like the technicalities of the license, Mia, I believe that the hours that you sent over on the application that's attached are incorrect. It's not till 8 p.m. It's till 12. I think Colleen submitted a second version of this, so it's 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Is that correct, Colleen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. And it is a full liquor
AM.
wine license. And then I just want to turn it over to Colleen and to Ethan from the Brooklyn Botanic Garden to say a little bit more than I've said, because you know y'all can probably represent it even better.
Thank you, Primo. I think you did a wonderful job summarizing our last meeting. Good evening, everybody. Happy to see all of you, some for the first time, some for the second time. Yeah, I mean, Restaurant Associates and Hudson Yards, DBA USC are very excited about this opportunity to come into the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. Restaurant Associates will be operating on a daily basis. There's cafes and restaurants that they'll be operating. Hudson Yards, USC's part will be for catering events, which are all tied into the same license. We're going in as a co-licensee. They have tons of experience. Restaurant Associates has over 30 years. USC has almost 20, at least in New York. And the one thing that I did want to just actually say to you guys is last week we talked about hiring within the local community. And I said I knew my client would want to commit to that, but I needed to talk to them. And boy, they could not have been more receptive. They actually strive to commit to at least 50% of new hires from within your community. We have a letter that I hope you all have received. Kyrie, I see you up there shaking your head. You're happy, my friend. I mean, that's what it's all about. We want to hire from within our local community because for us, it's better too. As clients, you know, that are going to give and serve to our community, we want people to see familiar faces. We don't just want someone come from, from New Jersey or, Connecticut or Rhode Island, wherever you commute from. So, we are absolutely committed to that. Hopefully it goes above and beyond 50%, to be honest with you. We have job fairs that have been planned. We already had 2. We have another one coming up. We also have flyers that they're planning on posting the same way we do with the community board flyers. We're going to post out flyers, and listen, whoever wants a job, come and get it. I mean, these jobs are paying okay. I don't know if you saw the links that we actually put out today. I sent some links over to Prima earlier. In my opinion, they're paying pretty well. So I hope that some of the local community members that you guys can distribute those links to, and that, once we put the flyers out, let's see what comes. But I really feel like we're going to do a great job in the community. We have some refurbishings that are ready to go in the museum, in the garden, inside of the facility as well. It's going to be a great fit. And also, just as Primo, I just want to reiterate what he said too. Yes, Patina has been there for several years. They did offer employment to all of their other employees that were, obviously moving on. But Restaurant Associates did the same thing. So we're not looking to have anybody from the community unemployed. Everyone on both sides is trying to just, keep them employed within the community or at other facilities, whether it be in New York City or elsewhere. But I know that was one of the concerns of the community members last week, having unemployment. And I know our clients are doing the best that they can to actually just engage and give some opportunities. I'll stop there just in case there's any questions.
Great. Oh, sorry. Fred.
We're going to take the speakers list. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. We're going to take the list and then we'll begin from there. Mr. Pruitt, I see you. Don't start yet. I'm going to get the list first. Mr. Pruitt, I see you. Hold on. Kyrie, I see you as well.
Westerdahl,
Ms. Westerdahl, I see you.
and then Christian LeBeau.
And Chris LeBeau. All right. Are there any other members or members of the community who have questions? Members you may ask a question at this time as well. Is there anyone else? All for a second time. Is there anyone else who has a question? Dante, do you see anyone?
No one.
Okay. All right. So then we are going to close the list on Christian. Oh, actually, no. And one quick housekeeping item. If you are an attendee, if you wish to raise your hand, you can use the raise hand function on the Zoom application. Usually it's under, I guess, reactions. There should be a raise hand function. You can use that. If you are joining us by phone, to raise hand, you use *9. *9 will toggle the hand raise. It'll help you raise your hand and lower your hand. So just that note, that housekeeping item. So with that being said, we have those 4 people that we've listed. We're going to close on Christian LeBeau. Mr. Pruitt, you have the floor.
Okay, I have a few questions. I'm curious, what is your opening date planned for?
The opening date, I believe, is in late January. So
And
we're
you-
obviously running on a,
And did I
Go ahead.
understand it right, that you only want to hire 34 people? You only need 34 people?
so 34 people full-time for Restaurant Associates. And when we have catered events scheduled with our co-licensee Union Square events, we will have other folks that are hired already through that entity.
If you fall short of the 34 people you want for full-time employment, will you still push ahead and open by late January?
100%.
There was a news article on the Wall Street Journal the other day about how badly the restaurant business is taking it to these days, and that the employment, the hourly wage is, though it's rising, operators are having a hard time matching that. When you say catering and commercial food service at the same time, that sounds like a pretty big crunch. in the sense that you're going to be serving two masters in a sense, won't you?
Well, sir, I mean,
Let me be more precise. The catering business is made up of what? The weddings and whatever family get together, like reunions and graduations, and okay. And that business is pretty strong at the Botanical Garden?
yes, very.
All right. What about my other question? With do you fear that is there any thought given to the disconnect between wages and operating income? In other
For a
words,
company of-
will you? I don't know what your hourly wage is, but I'm sure it's more than what it was previously. And to hire 34 people, that's a big nut. I'm just curious. Without disappointing people and having workers sit around idle, what take me through your revenue stream. I mean,
Yeah, Mr. Pruitt, I'm sorry, but that might be a little bit out of the scope of the liquor license application in terms of the wage. Yeah, so we might have to move on from that.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
So next I have Mr. Elaine, Kyrie.
Good evening again, everyone. Colleen, Ethan, I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to Primo, everyone else that was on the Public Safety Committee meeting. And you all were definitely, you and your clients that you're representing have done a great job. And you've helped us as we hope to set some type of precedence to require every business that comes before us for a liquor license to guarantee 50% or greater of employment to the employees and the staff in the community of CB9. So thank you for that. You were committed to your words, and yeah, I look forward to coming visiting the new establishment.
Okay, thank you, Kyrie. Ms. Westerdahl.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I attended the public safety meeting, and at that time it was brought up about the some of the BBG workers were union at one point, and they've been taken over by corporate entities such as yourself when it used to be a local group. And I wonder what was going on with the union members. I brought that up at the last meeting, and I had some other people as well from the board, and that was not you were going to address it at this time, and I didn't see anything in the application, or nor have I heard what your investigation resulted with the particular union members that were restaurant employees there. And also, I think it should be more than 50%. I don't think 50% is enough. And I'd like to know, when you say neighborhood, what you exactly mean by neighborhood, and how we are going to be able to follow up and know that you are keeping that commitment. How do we know? Thank you.
Okay, so I'll respond. I mean, I can speak for Restaurant Associates and their efforts, and USC's efforts as well. What we're looking to do is hire from the local community, and that essentially means from hiring within your community board area. It benefits my client as well, because we don't have to worry about traffic, concerns, or commuting times or anything like that. As far as the union, our clients are not union, like the employees are not union as far as I'm aware. Patina's, I cannot speak for. Like I said last week, we did represent them. We know for a fact that they have offered jobs to all of their current employees. Anywhere else, I mean, whether they went with them to a different facility or Restaurant Associates offered something to them at BBG. There were certainly opportunities given to them, and many of whom actually took. And of course, some of whom saw different opportunities and went elsewhere. I can't speak to the union fact because we haven't gotten any ideas about that, but I do know that both parties have worked very hard, meaning the outgoing operator and my clients coming in to try to keep and maintain as many employees as they can, and also offer further employment to individuals who might be seeking it within the community.
Okay, so there's no way to follow up. And you didn't ask them about the union employees, and the union employees I'm discussing are previous to Bettina. So that wasn't
Right.
done.
If I can interject at this point, I think that the
So-
restaurant associates, I'm sorry. At this point, I think that's something that might be more appropriate for BBG, a conversation with BBG in terms of previous associates and any union contracts and agreements. I want to make sure we keep this strictly, confined to the actual application itself. With regards to the actual tracking, I think this is something novel. And it's a good thing and it's novel. So I think that we'll be having discussions in terms of how do we track that? How do we make sure that that commitment is being upheld? And we're going to learn from that aspect as well. So that is going to be something that we'll be doing between us and BBG and Restaurant Associates. But I think it's
Absolutely.
a great thing, and we'll definitely make sure that we're tracking that as well.
And Fred, totally agree on everything there. I think like from the perspective of our committee, this group has gone above and beyond and met every request that we've made. And we feel like we have a very open and communicative relationship, and there's also a renewal in 2 years, right? And so for us, like, we'll continue to have the conversation, and we'll talk about what the local hiring looks like over the course of the next 2 years. And so we're excited to bring this novel kind of approach, and our committee is very pleased with the commitments that they've made.
All right, so last one we have is Christian LeBeau, and then we're going to close on this. Chris?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. My question was answered, so no need for me to take up more time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that concludes the speakers list. Any parting words, Primo?
No, just thank you to both of the applicants for coming with a mind of partnership with our community, which is exactly what we'd like to do for all of the businesses that operate in the boundaries of CB9. And so, and my thanks to the committee for really being progressive and like thinking and always putting the community's best interests at heart. We look forward to continuing to do this over the course of the coming year.
And as the chair had previously said, so we'll actually be reviewing the application. We'll have the conversation when we get to the business session, and we'll have a vote at that point. You're more than welcome to stay if you would like, or if not, if anything, we'll make sure we communicate back to you whatever the results are. But thank you. But thanks to all the applicants for coming this evening. Okay. All right. We are now going to move on to the agenda. We are going to go to public commentary. Public commentary is scheduled for 30 minutes. Speakers have up to 3 minutes. Speakers cannot transfer time and must be present for to speak before the board. All right. Mr. District Manager, do we have anyone signed up for a commentary?
Yes, we do have 3 individuals signed up. First, we have Doug McPherson from Empire State Development.
Okay, and who else do we have after that?
Next, we have Dr. Grace Hackett. I forget what organization she's with. I'm going to go ahead and promote Dr. Hackett. And then we also have a representative from the Brooklyn Public Library on as well, who's who signed up for public comment.
Okay. All right, so we will have those 3 speak. At this time, if there's anyone else who wishes to speak for public commentary, please use the raise hand function and we will add you to the speakers list. Remember, all speakers have up to 3 minutes to address the board, and we will conclude 30 minutes from now. At this time, if you could promote Mr. McPherson. I hope I got the name right.
Yes.
Hey, I'm here. Can folks hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have the floor.
Terrific. Good evening, everybody. It's nice to join you. My name is Doug McPherson, and I work on the real estate and planning team at Empire State Development, or ESD. And at ESD, I work as project manager for the Kingsborough Psychiatric Center redevelopment project. It's basically the repurposing of a 7-acre parcel at the western end of the Office of Mental Health's Kingsborough campus. Many of you are familiar between Albany and Utica and Winthrop and Clarkson. The redevelopment includes the creation of a 2-acre park, a variety of different community facilities, spaces, over 1,000 units of affordable housing, and the state-of-the-art replacements of 2 men's shelters that currently occupy the site. The reason that I'm here tonight is to make you all aware that ESD will be releasing a draft scope of work for the Kingsborough redevelopment's environmental impact statement on Monday. Some of you have participated in environmental impact statement processes before and are pretty familiar with how they work, but for the rest of the group, this draft scope of work is a 40-page document that has 2 functions. It describes the project and what we intend to implement on the site. And the second function is describing what we're planning to study as part of the environmental impact statement process. So examples are noise, shadows, traffic, demand for school seats or pre-K seats, et cetera, et cetera. After the release of the draft scope on Monday, our next step will be holding what's called a scoping meeting on January 19th. I think it's a Thursday evening, when members of the public will be able to comment on what's being studied in the EIS, and let us know if you think we're getting it right or if you think there are other elements of the scope that need to be adjusted, and then offer comments on the project more broadly. We will continue to take comments on the draft scope for 30 additional days after the scoping meeting on January 19th, and then, based on the comments we receive, issue an amended final scope of work at the conclusion of that 30-day period. If all goes well, we'll release a draft environmental impact statement for Kingsborough in the spring, and hold a public hearing on the EIS, hopefully early in the summer, with an eye towards issuing a final environmental impact statement and paving the way to start construction in winter or of next year, probably like spring of 2024. If you want to download the document, you can find it starting on Monday at esd.ny.gov/Kingsborough. The site is not live as of this moment, but it will be live on Monday. I'll also make sure to share the scoping document with your district manager so he can share it with the rest of the group. And I'll leave my contact info in case there are any questions. But that's all.
Thank you very much, Mr. McPherson. And again, so once that information is released, we will make sure that we also have a copy of it on the CB9 website so members of the community can access that. But thank you very much for coming this evening and sharing that information.
No problem.
Okay, next I have, was it Dr. Hackett?
That's correct.
Yes, Grace Hackett. Now that I have signed in, I am not sure if what I wanted to draw to your attention is what you need to hear this afternoon, or maybe you're talking about a specific thing, but I just wanted to make you aware of something that is happening in the neighborhood. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Yes.
All right, I live on Hawthorne Street, and I did not get a chance to speak with Ms. Lord, but the new developers that had bought the house to which I am attached, gutted, banged, drill on that house, no work permit, of course, and it has caused my bedroom, my children's bedroom, to have a big gash, a big gash on the wall. I've been trying to, at first they said they were going to fix it, but then they didn't. And in spite of the fact that sometimes I'm able to get a stop work order because they would try to sneak back in and still work. And when they're working, the wall shakes more plaster comes down and the floor underneath me vibrates so that I don't feel comfortable sleeping in that bedroom. I tend to just be in my living room. So the only way you would know about this is if I draw it to your attention. So I don't know if you are aware of what I am going through. And yesterday I did an interview with Channel 12 about it. So I don't know if there's anything you can do. I really don't know what, but I just figured I didn't want for the wall maybe one day to fall in. And then you would say, oh, well, she didn't tell us anything. She's in Community Board 9 and we don't know about it. So I'm telling you now, that's what has been going on. And this started February 3rd when I noticed a crack, but now it has bludgeoned into like 3 cracks and more plaster is coming down. So the Department of Buildings, all they would say is that people should be allowed to build. And my question to them is, well, people should be allowed to build, even if they tear what I have down, and they could not give me an answer. In addition to which, each time an inspector comes, I get a violation. And I said to them, well, am I the perpetrator or am I the victim? So I get a violation because it should be corrective action, they said. So I have never heard of anything so preposterous. So I'm letting you know. That's what I'm letting you know. If at any time you want me to speak with Miss Lord, because she's my representative from the Barbadian American Council, I can speak with her so she would know in depth what is going on. Okay.
Okay, Dr. Hackett, first of all, I am so sorry to hear that you're going through all this.
Oh, yeah.
I know this just has to be a stress on your family.
Sure.
So what if you can, just make sure that you communicate your information with the district manager, Dante Ornwine. He's on here. We'll make sure we get your information, and Dante can see what they can do district officers see what they can do on their side in terms of registering complaints and seeing what we can do in terms of getting those things rectified for you.
How do I get in contact with Mr. Dante?
Dr. Hackett, does Ms. Watson Lord have your contact information?
Yes, she has my email and my cell and my home number, etc. Yes.
Okay, then I will connect with Ms. Watson Lord. I will get the contact information. And I will connect with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Next, I think speaker, we have Timothy Davis, Brooklyn Public Library.
Yes, I am here. Good evening, everyone. How you doing?
Doing well.
Sorry, the camera. Yes, so my name is Timothy. I am a case manager at the Brooklyn Public Library, located on Eastern Parkway between Utica and Schenectady. 1044, the little small one, not the big one all the way at Grand Army. So everyone here has heard of a library. The misconception is that the library only handles with books, but we do so much more than that. We offer reading and writing classes. We offer, if anybody wants to come and earn their GED, if they didn't have the chance to do so, we offer a program for people to enroll in. We offer resume help, employment, job training opportunities. So the library does a lot more than just books, and I'm here just to extend an olive branch, just letting you guys know that we are here to serve the community. And yeah, just thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak here. And that's pretty much it. I think so it's good to meet everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. And again, we're located on 1044 Eastern Parkway. So if you know anyone that may need to improve on their reading and writing skills, if you know someone that haven't gotten their GED and they would like the opportunity to do so, they're more than happy to do so. We're actually having a new winter cycle coming up on January 9th, 8th to 9th. So there's time to sign up, get registered. If anyone's interested, they can always just visit us so we can, help them along the process. But we're just really here to, service the community and help out in whatever way we can. And if if you need a space to do sort of like a presentation or an outreach to get in touch with the community, if you want to know if people don't know what the community board is, or if the community board is having something that you want people to know about and you just want that space, we're more than happy to help provide that space and opportunity for you guys. So again, just thank you again for allowing me to speak. Oh, and they're free. A lot of the programs that we do are free. So that's another thing. People don't have to worry about paying out of pocket. We do offer these services mostly for free. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Davis, thank you so much for coming out this evening. Brooklyn Public Library's reputation precedes us. We are big fans of the library over here at CB9. And thank you for making note of all the great programs that you do. And we will be taking you up. So I hope, if you haven't done so already, let's just make sure that your contact is on file with the district office, and absolutely we'll be in touch. But and if there's any events that you're doing as well, make sure you share that so that way we can put it on our weekly blast as well.
Absolutely. We do a lot of job opportunity events. If people are interested in attending college, we have someone coming from LaGuardia actually to speak with the community in January about that. So there's a lot that we do, a lot going on. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much again. Okay. Dante, do we have anybody else for public commentary?
No one else signed up prior.
Okay. I'm
There's
looking. I
people
do
in the
see.
chat with their hands raised.
I do see.
We
I do
got
see.
it. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. I see Alicia. We will bring. You can promote Alicia, and then I see two board members. I see Suki and Mr. Almanor.
And Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, Abina Hatchville, is she not a board member also?
Yeah, we've been
She was
trying
there
to
for a little
promote.
while.
Yeah, we've been trying to promote Abina, all three of us, and well, there it went. So there you go.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Secretary, for catching that as well. All right. Okay. Did you promote Alicia?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Alicia, are you on?
I'm trying to get on. Okay, there I am. Hi. Again, I looked at the agenda today and I realized that again, there is a whole discussion about the bylaws changes. I noted that the document still has a lot of very controversial issues regarding increasing power of the board chair and decreasing power of the board members. Again, I'm asking, why hasn't there been a committee established, a bylaw committee established, so that there could be an open discussion, an open, honest discussion about these proposed changes, as well as input from everyone, including the community, regarding these changes. I just don't understand how you believe that you can get away with changing the bylaws of a community board without having a proper committee and involvement. I also noticed that there was only 3 comments. There was only 2 major people voicing their concerns and 1 person that made a very minor comment. So that means that there's not a lot of engagement in this process by the board, by the members of the community board, and definitely there's no comments from the community. So I just wonder, is your intention, is it the community board's intention to continue with the idea of changing the community board bylaws without full participation and without board members participating, and definitely outside of the community not having any say? So that's the first question. The second question is, I went to a meeting of Reynoso in which he's proposing to do some massive amount of rezoning, all under the guise of helping poor people, people of color with their health, as if somehow skyscrapers and building development is supposed to now increase our health and make us healthier. And I noticed that Fred was at the meeting, and yet there has been no committee meetings discussing this particular borough-wide rezoning proposal, we call it a comprehensive proposal, with the idea of health, and yet it's not being driven by health professionals. It was driven by developers and real estate in the real estate industry. So again, what committee is looking at these proposals and having a discussion with the community about this comprehensive plan that they plan on then developing skyscrapers in our community without our input? So those are the two questions. I hope they can be answered.
Both of the questions will be answered as part of my reports. Yeah, actually, both of them they are on the agenda to be discussed this evening. So there will be answers provided for both of us.
So the question is, are we clear about what the questions are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why there's not a committee so that would engage more people in the discussion of bylaws? And why isn't there a committee looking at the proposal?
Right. We got your questions, and that will be discussed during my report.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let's see, Ms. Chong.
Yeah, I just wanted to very briefly respond to Dr. Hackett. Unfortunately, this is a very common problem throughout our community because the zoning is so high that it permits homes and smaller buildings to be knocked down. And one of the most effective things that we've found in the past when this has happened to other neighbors is for you to get together with your neighbors and all of you call Department of Buildings successively. There's something called the BEST squad, which is for safety emergencies. I've called them before and demanded that they come out immediately because it sounds like what you're experiencing is really a safety issue. It's not just a code violation, and get all your neighbors to call too. And when the inspector comes out, have everyone meet him, complain about what's going on. The other thing is, if you get a lawyer to sue the developer because he's damaging your property, they're not allowed to underpin unless against your building unless they have permission from you. So I would definitely recommend all of those strategies. And as Fred said, we're really sorry that this is happening to you, and we'll do whatever we can to help.
Okay, thank you, Suki.
It's a developer, it's a homeowner. Did I misunderstand? Is it a developer or is it a homeowner, this issue?
Order of the day, order of the day. Order of the day. The suggestions have definitely been noted. And I think the best course for us at this point is to make sure we get all of Ms. Hackett's information. We can discuss strategies, including part of what's been mentioned as well. So we
No,
will
but
definitely
Fred,
make
the
sure-
language developer is charged, and I think it's important we're accurate.
Understood, but what I'm saying is it doesn't make sense for us to try and do it here during the board meeting.
I want clarification. Is it a developer or homeowner? Somebody just called it him a developer. I'm just asking to
and
clarify.
Understood. It's public commentary. We will get all those details that will come through, and there will be a report back as necessary. We'll take it, but we need to move the agenda, so we need to make sure we get all the public commentary. Mr. Almaner.
I was going to talk about same thing that Sloan going to talk about, because I have been dealing with a similar situation last 2 years, and a neighbor across the street from mine have the same situation, crack wall, leaking and all. The most important thing is to obtain a competent lawyer who specialize in that area in order to deal with it. It's a big fight. And one of which we had done was to the neighboring housing service. They're supposed to put together a seminar to help homeowners to whom are facing the situation where new construction is being done next to their house. And I think once we get all your information, this is something we should go into. Well, I just want to let you know you're not alone. There's a lot of people in this community and they're going this situation. That's one. Number two, I want to say for the library on Eastern Parkway, I would extend the invitation to attend the Library and Education Committee monthly meeting so you could work in concert with our community board.
Good, thank you. Okay, Ms. Westerdahl.
Hi, I just wanted to speak to Dr. Hackett. We are having similar issues in our neighborhood and have had them. And you really need to get on top of that. They should be, I don't know if you know what a seismometer is. They're supposed to issue these seismometers, developers are, where they're doing construction to measure, like if there's cracks in your house and if those are enlarged when their construction happens. You can use a lawyer to get those, but the developer should issue those to who's ever doing the construction. You should have that, and you really have to get on top of it, because this could affect the foundation of your home, your walls, flooding, like so many things have happened to my neighbors, and it could happen to you, and it's very concerning. And I'm afraid more of this is going to happen to our neighbors, as Nicholas brought up. We have to get on top of this. This is horrible. And the people want to enjoy their retirement, their lives, and their houses are being destroyed. We've had whole walls knocked down, bricks thrown, bad things. So let's work on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Hackett, I see your hand up. I'm going to recognize you in one moment so you can have an opportunity to address the board. But I would ask at this time as well. We are getting close to the end of the public commentary period. At this time, if there are any members, if there are anyone in attendance who's representing an elected official, or if you're an elected official, please use the raise hand function so that way we can recognize you in this next agenda item for acknowledgements. All right. And with that said, Dr. Hackett, we recognize you.
Yes, I also get the impression that seniors are being targeted, because 2 houses down, there was a person who came and was actually harassing the owner. Can you sell? And I saw it. He's older than I am, and I called him and I said, just said you're not interested in selling. Close the door and go back inside. So I think it is a willful attempt to really have your home depreciated, and is as such that you would hopefully run out. The only thing is, this has been my home for the last 30, 35 years, and I have nowhere to run to. So all the banging and the drilling, so on, that they're doing against the wall is really for naught, because this is my home, you see.
No, absolutely, and you shouldn't have to run.
I shouldn't have to do this.
You shouldn't have to run. So
in my retirement years, and I really think this is ridiculous.
And we will do everything we can to assist you with that. And it's good that you mentioned that as well with your neighbors. So absolutely, let's include them as part of that conversation. Okay. Very quick note with respect to that. That's one of the things we encourage at the board, is for everyone to speak up and let us know these issues. Yeah. So we know it's not just one, it's not just two. This is something that is throughout the district. Right. And when we can document these things, we can definitely work with our partners, the elected officials, whatever respective agencies, to try and make sure that something is done about this and done soon. But thank you very much for your comments, and definitely we'll be getting your contact information and any information you have. If there are any other people in the similar situations, please feel free to start creating that list, and we'll make sure we reach out as well.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, and with that, I believe that concludes the public commentary. I do see some of the elected officials. Is there anyone else for public commentary? Dante, did you see anyone else?
No one else. Only hands raised now are elected official reps.
Okay. All right. So again, I want to thank everyone who's provided commentary this evening. The commentary is always very useful for us. But one thing I like to remind everyone is, as a board, we don't always know what we don't know. So this is where it's useful for us to get that input from the community in terms of what's going on, where the issues are, and we know where to direct energies and resources. So I thank everyone who's spoken again this evening. We wish you all a very, blessed and happy holiday season. And for those that we will reach back out, we have to reach back out to the district office, we'll take care of that. Thank you so very much for that. At this time, we're going to conclude the public commentary section. We are going to go on to the next item in the agenda, which is acknowledgements. And I guess this is a good one too, because, year end, I think it's very important that we reflect on the partnerships that we have with our elected officials and the different agencies. That's really what helps us to bring about change in this district. So we start off by thanking all of you who were here, a lot of familiar faces that we worked with over the year. But with no further ado, let us begin. I'm going only in the order that I see raised hands. Mr. Coleman.
Hi, everyone. Taekwon Coleman here on behalf of Councilmember Rita Joseph. I bring you her greetings. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. We are a little shy of a full year in office, but it's been an amazing year and we look forward to continuing to serve. I just want to make sure everyone's aware that we have a coat giveaway in partnership with New York Cares this Saturday, December 17th at 2245 Bedford Avenue. It's going to be from 10 to 12, so the earlier folks get there, the better. As always, we are available Monday through Friday. The number is 718-287-8762. Once again, 718-287-8762. My personal cell phone number is 929-496-6341. So please don't hesitate to reach out, and we wish you a happy and healthy holiday season, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you very much, Taekwon. And please give our best regards to the council members. Okay, continuing, I see Rebecca Coolidge.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Coolidge. I am the Deputy Legislative Director for Assembly Members Ferris of Front Forest. I have a few updates. Each of them have a link, so Fred, if you don't mind, I'll send you over an email with them in afterwards to be circulated. So the first one is that we have a toy giveaway that's happening next Friday. As of right now, we don't have a location set, but I do have a registration link for people to sign up, and you'll be notified once we have that set. If people need rental assistance, that you should apply for ERAP by January 15th. That is the cutoff date when the state will stop accepting more applications. And I also have the link for the application, and our office is more than willing to help anyone who needs help with that application process. MTA is redesigning a bus route in Brooklyn to improve efficiency. And I also have another link to share that has more information on that bus route. And then as well, there is going to be a public meeting specifically for residents of Crown Heights on February 7th. And I have the link to sign up for that meeting. If anyone has any questions, our district office phone number is 718-596-0100. Again, that phone number is 718-596-0100. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Coolidge. And please give our best regards to the Assembly member as well.
I absolutely will. Thank you.
All right. I see Portia Edwards from State Senator Zell O'Reilly's office.
Hello, lovely people. I hope you're having a great year so far. So great to be back at CB9. So I just wanted to bring greetings from the state senator and just give a few updates of what's going to be taking place starting next week. Well, the end of this week. We have two events happening on the same day. This Saturday, we have in partnership with two organizations, Greater Direction is doing a brunch with Santa at PS 375, Jack Robinson School. I sent both flyers over to Dante so you guys can share it. With the brunch with Santa, there'll be toys, there'll be a Santa will arrive, there's, you know, food, games, fun. For anyone that wants to attend, just please RSVP so we know exactly how many people we're feeding. And we're also doing, and that's from 1 to 3 p.m. And then we're doing a toy giveaway with Grandma's Hands at the Brooklyn Museum from 12 to 3. There'll be live performances, music giveaways, and a lot of fun for the kids. That you do not have to RSVP to that event. You can just show up to that event, and it's at the Brooklyn Museum from 12 to 3 p.m. Starting Monday, November 19th, our office will be closed for the holidays until January 3rd. We'll reopen on January 3rd. Please feel free to still email us if it's an emergency. We will definitely, you know, take take those cases and begin to work on those. But effective Monday, December 19th, our office will be closed until January 3rd. We will reopen on January 3rd. For anyone who has any questions, comments, or concern, the board has my personal cell, all the things, but I'll give it to everyone here also. My email is P like Peter Edwards @nysenate.gov. The office number is 718-284-4700. For anyone who needs it, you can call my personal cell, and that's 718-502-2159. Again, thank you so much for just having us. I bring greetings from the senator. He will be going back to Albany January 4th, I believe is his first day back in Albany. So please, say your prayers for him as he starts the legislative season off this year, or next year, I would say. Again, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I'll be here for the next 10, 15 minutes. If anyone has questions, I'll be here to answer.
Thank you very much, Portia. And just to confirm, there's no age limits on the toys, right, with Santa?
There's no age limits for you to sit on Santa's lap and take pictures.
Thank you very much. Just confirming for a friend.
Happy holidays.
Thank you very much. Next, I see Ms. Crawford from the DA's office.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday and to let you all know that we have we have a couple of initiatives going on right now. But the most important one, we're having a gun buyback this Saturday. It's going to be at Cornerstone Baptist Church, and the address is 7574 Madison, and it's from 10 until 4 o'clock. The first 25 people that come in, they will be getting an iPad along with $500 in the Gunners Hopper Company. So please come out and support. We're also having a coat right that same Saturday. I don't have that address, but I'll send it to Dante and he can spread the word. So once again, happy holidays, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you all at the gun buyback. Bye.
Thank you so much, Karen. And please give our best regards to the DA. Sorry. And Portia, please give our, I never said that. Please give our best regards to the senator as well, and tell him that we wish him well and in safety as well. Okay, next. Okay, and next I see Ms. Ritter from Assemblymember Cunningham's office.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to speak. I'm going to be brief. I just wanted to say happy holidays to everyone on behalf of the Assembly member and our entire team. This month, we had a Black Labs, Black Lungs film screening where we had the opportunity to watch the film Black Labs, Black Lungs and do a panel discussion around how the Menthol Company has targeted Black communities. It was a really interesting discussion, and we had a chance to really raise some public health crises and a few other related concerns in terms of health and mortality rates. We also had our meeting for the Arts and Culture Roundtable yesterday at Lips Cafe. If anyone is interested in joining our roundtable committees, I would invite you to send me an email. Really quickly, I'll just list them off, and you all can feel free to reach to follow up with me if you have questions about participating. We're offering arts and culture, small business, aging, public health, transportation, youth and education, and food and health equity. So if any of those issues resonate with you and you want to work with our office to try to make sure we're doing everything we can to pass some legislation around those special issues, please get in contact with me and we'll be happy to connect you all with the roundtables. Just wanted to say thank you all for letting me speak. And I don't have a lot of announcements, but I wanted to make sure that we spoke up and just showed our presence and showed our support for you all. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll leave my contact information in the chat. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Ritter, and please give the Assembly member our best regards as well. Are there any other representatives or elected officials or agencies? If you please use the raise hand function, we would definitely like to acknowledge you before we move on to the agenda. You see anyone else, Dante? Team? Okay. All right. So with that, again, thanks to all the representatives and to the elected officials for all the hard work they do on behalf of the residents of this district. Is that partnership that helps us to get things done and to address issues. So we thank you for all your partnership over the last year, and we're looking forward to even more work as we move forward into a new year, January 2023. For all the announcements that were made about events and activities, those will be available through the district office. On a weekly basis, the district office gives does an e-blast that goes out to the community with all these announcements and with the contact information for all these events as well. If you are on and you have not signed up for the e-blast, please make sure you contact the district office, at which point they can make sure they register you. It's critical because this is the way we're able to communicate with everyone. And I would ask everyone as well to please distribute to your networks so that way we can make sure we're getting much penetration into the district, so that way people get the good information that's often provided on these blasts. And with that, we are concluding our public session. We are now going to go into the business session. Madam Secretary, I would ask at this time if you'd be able to call the roll.
Minute, sir. Kyrie Allen. Kyrie Allen.
Present.
Nicholas Amanar.
Present.
Stuart Malberg. Bride Baptiste.
Present.
Naomi Baptiste. John Beckles Jr.
Present.
Thank you. Rabbi Jacob Berman.
I am here.
Thank you. Warren Burke.
Here.
Thank you. Augustine Blackwell.
Here.
Celeste Chase.
Here.
Suki Shang.
Here.
Sol Kerry. Sol. Jamie Epstein. Matthew Fulton. Tessa Hackett Vieira.
I am here.
Thank you. Bishop Gonzalez. Bishop. Abina Hatchfield.
I'm here. Thank you.
Primo Lozana.
Here.
Mina Lagote.
Yeah.
Francesco Leopold.
Here.
Michael Leiber.
Here.
Thank you. Matthias Limburger.
Here.
Courtney. Courtney Lozelle.
Yes, I'm here.
Christian Lubo.
Present.
Letwin Mavina. Letwine Mavina.
Yes.
Aaron Mazursky. Vivian Morgan. Miss Patricia Moses.
Here.
Miss Beverly Newsom. Beverly Newsom.
Beverly's excused. She sent an email to the office.
Thank you, thank you. Got it. Ryan Pearsboom.
Present.
Thank you. Ted Pilcati. Ted Pilcati. Mr. Milford Pruitt. Mr. Milford Pruitt. Unada Ron Perry.
Present.
Thank you. Dexter Roberts.
Present.
Elise Robertson.
I prefer in case you didn't hear me.
Yes,
Mr.
she's
Mr.
excused.
Milford, that's you?
That's me. In case when you called me, I was on mute.
Okay, okay.
Sorry.
Just want to make sure that you say present and I,
Present, yes.
thank you. Elise Robertson.
She's excused for today.
Okay. Thank you. Rashida Sadiq.
Here.
Rashida Skipes. Debbie Timothy.
Present.
Thank you. Myself. Miss Teresa Westerdahl.
Present.
Hello.
Was that Warren?
Lorianne Woolsey. Lorianne Woolsey.
Present.
Miss Cheryl Wright.
Present.
Okay, Mr. Chair, let me go back over those. Okay. Sir Balberg, absent. Naomi Baptiste. Absent. Sol Carey. Sol. Okay. Bishop Gonzalez.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
Order of the day, please. All board members, if you are not speaking, make sure you watch your microphones. Sorry, Madam Secretary.
Bishop Gonzalez. Okay.
Present.
Thank you. Erin Mazursky. Vivian Morgan. Okay. Mr. Chair, we've got 31 present.
31 present?
Yes.
Okay, 31 board members present. We have a quorum. Thank you very much for all those board members. Okay, so before we move on to the next item, the approval of the minutes, there is one change we would like to make. It was approved at the executive committee meeting that there will be a treasurer's report. Looks like we have a clerical error. We didn't get that on there. So I just wanted to note, well, actually, let me ask, the treasurer, would you like to give a report, or do you want your the report? I think those are the report that was sent earlier. Do you just want that to stand for information?
I can give a brief report, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so then with that, unless there's any objection, I would like for us to amend the agenda to include a treasurer's report after the district manager's report. Is there any objection from the board?
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I think on the agenda that was sent out, we have the treasurer's report listed as an agenda item.
I don't believe I saw it.
It's not on mine, Christian.
No?
Yeah, the one I received, I didn't have it either. Okay.
In the second one they sent out today, it's in it.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the executive agenda. No problem.
No worries. Okay, so again, so just one last call. Is there any objection to amending to add the treasurer's report as stated? Okay, hearing no objection, the agenda is amended by common consent to include the treasurer's report. Thank you very much for that. All right, so we're going to go on to the next item on the agenda, which would be the approval of minutes from the November 22 meeting. Are there any corrections to be made to the minutes? I call for a second time. Are there any corrections to be made to the minutes? Call for a third time. Are there any corrections to be made to the minutes?
Good to go.
Okay, hearing no call for corrections to, hello, was that? Okay, hearing no call for corrections to the minutes will stand as approved by common consent. All right, we are now going to move on to the next item, which will be the district office report. The district manager, Dante, do you have, you ready to give your report to the board?
Yes.
Okay, sir, the floor is yours.
All right, give me 1 second. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone for our last meeting of 2022. So just some updates regarding the Empire reconstruction. A contractor had discovered a sinkhole at the intersection of Empire Boulevard and Washington Avenue due to utility interference and the condition of the sinkhole. The contract work was stopped to provide safety in order to allow DEP's contractors to stabilize the damaged underground utility. New instruction was given for the contractor to conduct some sewer work and also provide new submissions. And once those were approved, they would resume that construction. Well, earlier this week, those new submissions were approved. So it looks like that construction should commence, or rather should resume sewer work on Empire Boulevard between McKeever Place and Washington Avenue. That construction should resume as early as the 19th, so next Monday. I would assume that we're going to get some notices tomorrow. So just look out for our weekly e-blast where we post all of the notices. We typically get them on Friday, so just look out for that. Also, there were some questions regarding the construction at Flatbush and Lincoln Road. So they have they've suspended the construction at the location due to the cold weather. Let's see, they were working on road restoration and they had to delay the construction because they cannot lay asphalt during the cold temperatures. But they do plan to begin the construction on road restoration in March of 2023. So as we move closer to that, just look out for the notices. Also, the Bridge Street Development Corporation of Crown Heights is going to be doing a CDNA on Crown Heights. If you're familiar with their work, I believe they did one on Bed-Stuy. Very economic development driven a report that they produce. And so they're going to be doing that for Crown Heights. That should be coming out relatively soon. So just look out in your email. We will be sending emails out. It will also be in our e-blast. We want to help them try to get as many submissions as possible. The more information, the better. These types of assessments we need. That allows us to really craft informed policy using real data and real statistics. And so once we send those surveys out, I would just encourage everyone, fill it out. If you know any business owners, please make sure that you send them the link for the business portion. We want to make sure we have as many business owners, especially along Nostrand, Kingston, and Utica. I believe that's where the catchment goes in this district, to sign up for this. So that information will be coming out. If you want more information, feel free to reach out to the board office. That will be coming out shortly. Earlier this week in the Borough Service Cabinet I had with Borough Hall and other district managers, this had come up, and I can imagine that other people have seen this as well. The topic of derelict bicycles. If you see derelict bicycles chained, attached in any type of form to some type of public entity, take a picture, submit a 311 request, and then send that information over to the board office. We want to make sure that we get those removed from the street, and DSNY will take those. So please submit that 311 request and send that information over to the board office. Also, you should have seen in your emails, it was sent out to board members and resident committee members, some updates on open streets for 2023 from the Department of Transportation. All of the information is in that packet. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to the board office. I will forward your inquiry over to DOT if you have specific questions. The January calendar is set and on our website. It looks like the committees will be able to meet on their usually scheduled days for the month of January. At this time, there still has been no determination if we'll be moving back in person or we will be virtual. So once information comes out, we will provide that to the board. But at this time, the calendar is set. I believe that calendar invites were already sent out to each board member, so please accept those. Please, when we send out the calendar invites, RSVP, that allows us to see, who's going to be able to attend, who's not going to be able to attend, so we can keep that information readily available. Also, for the month of January, we're looking to do more of a public hearing surrounding the B41 bus. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the B41 bus that they're planning on constructing down Flatbush all the way from, let's see, CB2 all the way down to Kings Plaza. So it's a major project. We're looking to do that, I believe, on January 30th, but a specific date will come out. So just be aware of that. It's a major project, and it does not only affect our community district, it affects many different community boards that are along the corridor. Obviously, it affects, and it will affect, it will affect the small businesses along the corridor. So there's going to be a lot of discussion around this project. So look out for that information. Also, we have received information. It will be in our weekly e-blast. So look out for that regarding free tax prep. Tax season is right around the corner. The Department of Consumer and Worker Protection does the free tax program for the city. That's going to be on our weekly e-blast. I've reached out to DCWP to see if we could partner with them to do one specific where we host it and we can invite members of our community. So if anyone has any questions or thoughts about tax prep, they could ask them to a specialist. So if we're able to do that, that information will come out as well. I just also wanted to remind everyone that a lot is going on in our district. If you know of someone who needs information, listen, we realize that not everyone has access to internet. And if you know of someone who does not have access to internet and you want them to be a part of the board and get the information, connect with them and have them reach out to the board office. We'll figure out a way to work with them to make sure that they get the information as it comes out. We want to make sure that accurate information is being disseminated from the board. There's a lot of projects happening in Brooklyn specifically. We're talking about the B41 bus on Flatbush. We're talking about the full Brooklyn bus network. The MTA capital plan has had many highlights, especially around ADA accessibility. And I can only imagine there's been many questions, not just from the community, but also in my discussions with other community boards. A lot of the district managers and a lot of the boards have many questions around cannabis rollout. So a lot's happening here. A lot of information is going to be coming into your email. So I just asked for all of you to just monitor your emails. A lot of information is going to be coming through in the coming weeks. So just follow that. And with that, that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Dante. At this time, we will take some questions for the district manager. Please use the raise hand function. We'll create a speakers list. Mr. Pruitt, I do see you. Hold on one second. Are there any other questions for the district manager? Please use the raise hand function right now. Call for one final time. Are there any questions for the district manager? Okay, seeing none, we will take the one question from Mr. Pruitt and we're going to move on. Mr. Pruitt, you have the floor. Your question is.
I would like to know, getting back to the derelict bicycles, you seem to emphasize, Dante, that the bike, must be connected or attached to a public property, like okay. What if there's what if it's on the curb and on a privately planted tree in there's a Sterling Street has a couple of bikes that's on a curb, but it appears to be private property, and it's connected to a tree through a long rope. Would that count?
Well,
maybe I'll take a picture and email it to you.
Please, yeah. Take a photo, email it to me, and if it's on a private tree, that sounds like some legal stuff. So I will definitely send it over to DSNY and they can give the legalese. But yes, send me a photo. I'll be looking out for it.
And also, what exactly is going on the 41 bus line?
Yeah, so right now they're in the early stages of the B41. So DOT is looking to construct a bus line that could also encompass select bus service from, I believe, Community, but whether it be the Flatbush, all the way from Flatbush Extension, I believe, down to Kings Highway. So it's going to run through a lot of community boards. It's going to impact a lot of people. They've had a couple of info sessions on the project already. As they continue to do info sessions, I'll make sure that all members of the board gets that information. And listen, you don't have to wait for those info sessions. If you read any information online, you see an article or anything, you have a question, send an email over to the board office, and I will make sure that it gets to the agency so we can get you an answer quickly.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm also going to touch a little bit on that when I get to my report as well, Mr. Pruitt. Well, definitely a lot of activity around that. Okay, so that was the one question. One question we're recognizing. Thank you very much, Dante, for the report, and thanks to you and to your team for all the work you do. The quality work that you do in the district office all year long. Thank you so much. Okay, and I was remiss. I went straight to the district manager's report. By custom, we usually hear the committee reports first. The committee reports have already been sent out, so you have those for information. All those are for information. I believe the only action items we had this evening were for the SLA. So everything else is for informational purposes. Are there any chairs at this time who have an urgent, please, only if it's urgent announcement they need to make? If so, you have 30 seconds. Are there any chairs who need to make any urgent announcements to the board? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much again. And again, the reports are provided for informational purposes, and the schedules for all the committee meetings are up on the board site. Please make sure you go. If there's a particular topic you're interested in, the board schedule is published by the district office on the website. At this time, we will move on in the agenda to the amended agenda to the treasurer's report. Chris, you there?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, sir, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. The budget literacy workshop took place on November 21st. I had a family emergency, and big thanks to Dante for facilitating that, as I wasn't able to join, but I heard it went well. And I did want to just give a very brief update now on the budget itself. So in terms of the community board budget, we haven't heard anything more from the mayor or city hall about a potential cut, but we're still prepared in case there is a cut of 3 to 4% to our budget. So in terms of personnel services, we have $143,000 left over for this fiscal year to spend, and we have, in terms of other than personnel services, we have $16,000 left in that budget. And then in terms of our rent, we have $14,000 left. So you can find more details on the budgetary items in this month's monthly budgetary summary report, which the district office sent out prior to this meeting. One final note, we don't have any major expenditures of more than $3,000 planned for the next 30 days. Thanks very much. Happy holidays.
Thank you very much, Chris. All right, so the report has been provided for informational purposes. We can take a couple, can you take a couple of questions if there's any? All right, if there are any questions for the treasurer, please use the raise hand function. We'll take a speakers list. Call for a second time. Are there any questions for the treasurer with regards to his report? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much for your report, Mr. Treasurer. Okay, we are now going to go next on the agenda to the report of the chair. I'm going to try and keep it brief, but probably I think that what you're going to find during my report is that we just have a lot going on in the district. So let us go down. So first, so attendance. It's been something that we've talked about on a number of occasions with respect to the board. The prerequisite for this, the success of this board is for members showing up. That means we have, we respect the commitment in terms of coming to the general board meetings. It also means we respect the commitment to showing up to our committee meetings. Both of those are required for board members, and we're asking for all board members to please make sure that you are continuing to do so. We have had, the district office and the committee chairs have been in conversations. So we've been noticing that there are areas where we've been having some issues with the attendance. So the committee chairs are in the process, or they either have or are in the process of reporting any attendance issues, so that we will be having conversations with respect to both of those. If you have been contacted by the district office with regards to an attendance issue, please make sure you respond back. And so we can have any conversations as necessary in terms of making sure we are able to resolve those and you're back on track and that board and the committees are fully functional. So please make sure that you're responding back to any correspondence. And letting the board office or myself know if there are any issues that we should be aware of. All right, next, I think it was mentioned by the district manager with respect to the B41 corridor. So that is a conversation that is happening. So that conversation started from last summer, where there were some initial workshops that were done by the mayor's office. So that is moving. Well, let me say this. Nothing has been decided yet in terms of anything in particular that is going to happen. The conversations are opening. So all the affected boards, so we're talking about all the way from downtown Brooklyn all the way to the end, are being convened along with a number of other stakeholders in terms of providing feedback with respect to what changes or what thoughts we have in terms of that corridor for speeding up bus service, which is one of the primary reasons why we're talking about that, improving, pedestrian safety on the corridor as we're talking about it. And as well as considering other things in terms of making sure that whatever we do takes into account cyclists, it takes into account merchants on the corridor as well, and a number of other factors, easing traffic or speeding traffic through. So there's nothing that has been decided, but we want to make sure that as a board, as a district, we are proactive. So one of the things that we will be doing, I would ask for all board members and community residents to look out for, is we will be convening a town hall. I believe we are looking at the 30th or the 31st of January, where the intent is to convene residents of the district to talk about those things we want to see in the larger picture of the entire Flatbush corridor, but specifically with that portion of Flatbush which falls within the confines of Community District 9. And particularly over here is something we need to be cognizant of, because Flatbush narrows when it gets into CB9, which means we run out of real estate very quickly, which means that we would really want to be make sure that we're chiming in terms of what transit should look like, or that B41 route should look like in the district. Again, taking into account all those considerations that I mentioned before. So we're looking at that. That is a conversation that's happening in the Transportation Committee. So we invite you to come to those committee meetings as well. Okay, next I'm going to skip around a little bit, but I'll touch all these points. Next, I think it was mentioned about 2023 community board applications. So the window is now open. Borough Hall is accepting applications for community board residents. One of the things, the comments that I heard from last time is that, that I've heard it in the district and even from Borough Hall in terms of we're not getting people, we don't have the diversity that we would like to see. People are not applying. So we're not getting, the diversity we'd like to see on the board. So I would ask for, first of all, for all those board members, if your term is expiring, please make sure that you are responding back and submitting the application. The application is due on the 14th of February. So there is some time, but don't wait too long to do that as well. If you as a board member know, I'm sorry? Yes, so yeah, on February 14th is when it's due. If as a board member as well, if you know of somebody or if you have people in your networks who would be interested in serving on, on the district level in terms of being a board member, if you are working with committee members who are really passionate about working with the district, please make sure we're also passing that information along in terms of we provide the links, or if they need applications or assistance with the application, they can contact the district office. Something we did last year that I thought was very successful and impactful is we actually had an open house. So that is one of those things that we wanted to replicate. Those things that work well, that's one of the things that we want to do, is always make sure we're replicating those, making sure that's part of our common practice. So we are looking at convening an open house again in the January timeframe. So it should come earlier in the year, I believe we're looking at.
What's the deadline?
The deadline, well, the deadline for the applications is February 14th. There will be an open house before that, but we'll talk about the board, we'll talk about the processes, the expectations. That date will be given out shortly as well. So we'll make sure we communicate that up to the board and to the district. Okay, next I want to talk a little bit about two items that are kind of related. So it was mentioned before, Borough Hall has opened up a process regarding a comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is an initiative that is being launched by the Borough President, which aims to improve health outcomes with a focus on zoning recommendations. So the idea being, when ULURP recommendations are requested, they would look at the data that's been gathered for each district, and the Borough President is looking to make his recommendations based on the data gathered for that plan. This is something that is fairly recent. I, as a board chair, have heard some discussion with respect to it. This past week or so, we actually had our the first meeting where the community was brought in terms of being able to see the plan, or at least the existing conditions report that was generated by Borough Hall, along with some other community partners that they've identified. So that process is open. In terms of the first phase of that is data collection. So I was able to go and participate on Monday, along with a couple of other community board members as well. Suki Chang was there. We've had some other community residents who were there as well. But this process is open to everyone in Brooklyn. I would encourage everyone to go to the Borough President's website. There you will be able to actually get a copy of his existing conditions report. I urge everyone to please look through that document. So there's some good data that is in there as well, but there's also some incomplete data, or there may be areas where you might want to make recommendations that they need to do some more work or get additional data with respect to that. After that data collection, I believe that data collection is supposed to go through January 31st. After the 31st, they go into another phase of community engagement. There will be additional details that will happen. The expectation is they will actually have representation that comes to Community Board 9, to Community District 9, where they'll be able to discuss it a little bit more. But this is just a preview in terms of this is a process that is started. It is all advisory, because our roles in zoning for the Borough President and the Community Board are both advisory. But the Borough President is looking at it from the perspective of he wants it, to use this data as part of a comprehensive plan. Yeah, so please make sure to district manager's point before, there will be a lot of information coming through. Please make sure you're checking your emails and going to attending as many of those meetings as possible. Along the same lines, so recently, I believe that there was an announcement made by the mayor's office for a Get Stuff Built initiative. This is something that has been it has been a discussion in the district. Something, the elements of the City of Yes initiative that he is trying to do are combined with this Get Stuff Built initiative. From what I understand, there are a number of, some of them are technical, some of them are administrative changes that the mayor is looking to institute to expedite zoning processes and building permitting and things of those natures. So some of those things, I believe the intent for him is to do those administratively, large section of those. He is also looking at, some of it will be legislation that needs to be approved by the council. Some of it will be ULURP matters, which will be coming to the ULURP committee in terms of, there'll have to be a process that we weigh in on with respect to that. And some of it will require state input in terms of it'll have to be implemented through legislation or some changes in the state mechanism with respect to to zoning and other regulations and environmental reviews. So with those two things combined, there is a lot of stuff that is coming down the pipe. Please, again, make sure that you are checking. The ULURP committee will be, many of these items will probably be getting referred through the ULURP committee, probably in conjunction with a number of other committees, including housing. So I would, again, recommend, please make sure you're keeping track of the committee meetings, because a lot of these things will be discussed there, and there'll be a lot of resources or information you'll be able to get through those meetings by attending those. One of the other things, so I kind of talked about the DOT a little bit in terms of B41 corridor. There are a number of things that are actually being looked at with respect to transportation, citywide and in the district as well. The B41 corridor is one of the more direct ones because the 41 comes through the district, but there is also a larger bus network redesign that is being done as well. So there was an initial workshop that happened, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, where that was the first part of it. There are going to be additional workshops and opportunities for the public to weigh in. So the district office, as always, is going to, is very good about sending out that information. Please make sure you are checking your emails, getting the information, and going to as many of the workshops as possible. This is going to be critical because they're looking at ways of improving the bus service. I don't believe they're looking at wholesale changes, but it's important that we look at each of the changes to see how they affect the district in especially against the background of the larger bus network. So those will be coming through. Additionally, there was a workshop that was held for Grand Army Plaza. Grand Army Plaza, they're talking about a potential redesign for that as well. From literature I've seen, they're not necessarily talking about cutting car traffic, but we do want to make sure that because Grand Army Plaza is adjacent to CB9 and there might be impacts that we would feel based on any changes, that we're going to keep in touch with that as well. That is going to be an extended process. I believe that there's going to be workshops and additional information provided. It'll culminate in a study that will happen probably in the next 1.5 to 2 years. But we are going to be keeping our ears open, and we need to make sure that we're weighing in on that as necessary as well. And additionally, we are going to be looking at taking a holistic look at transportation in the district. So we're going to be looking at city bikes. City bikes are coming to the district. We had the initial expansion in the northern part, so it is going to be coming further south and east in the district. So there are we're having conversations with City Bike with respect to that. We're also looking at bicycle lanes, where they are, especially because we're going to be having much more traffic. We're looking at where does it make sense. We're looking at an emphasis on safety, making sure there's safety for everyone, for the pedestrians, for the cyclists, but that there's that it's also in harmony with the traffic patterns in the district. We are also looking at a number of quality of life issues, including abandoned vehicles. So abandoned vehicles as well. So if there are vehicles that have been sitting there, parked, not moved, paper plates that have been expired, we're working with NYPD with respect to that as well. So one of the things that we're trying to do is compile a list of all these things that we can work with DOT and NYPD as well to make sure that we're getting these things addressed in a timely fashion. It was mentioned before, so cannabis licensing, cannabis legislation have been passed by the state. So we are starting to see a proliferation of storefronts that are already advertising that they will be selling legalized marijuana. There are already complaints and issues and concerns with respect to the rollout, how it's happening, where these places are located, as well as making sure that there's clarity in terms of the community board's role in that process as well. So we have reached out to the Office of Cannabis Management. We are going to be having conversations with them where they'll hopefully be able to come and talk about that with the district, with the board itself and with the district in terms of understanding that. We're also working with our elected officials in terms of making sure that that we're keeping this safe and that, safe as well, so that we're not creating situations that are problematic in the district. So there'll be more information that's going to be coming forward from the district office, and we'll be working with the Public Safety Committee as well with respect to that. Okay. Last item I wanted to touch on very quickly was with respect to the bylaws amendments. So the bylaws amendments is something that we had started a conversation on this since October of this year. So there have been a number of proposals that have been put out. We had also put out links requesting information and actually requesting suggestions and recommendations from board members for amendments to improve our bylaws. It's a document that has been open for, hasn't been modified significantly in over almost 20 years. So it's about time that we actually look at that, make sure that we get a document that is that works for the board, where the processes are more efficient, where there's clarity, that we reduce the ambiguity. But I think in the greater sense that it allows the board to do board stuff, as opposed to being bogged down in unnecessary administrative items that don't necessarily, that cut into meeting times that we can really be doing to be more effective as a board. So last month we had there was a motion that was on the floor. That motion, we were in the process of voting. We lost quorum. So we are going to be picking that up to this evening as part of unfinished business, and we will have a final vote, where the proposal was to actually be able to do a review and have a vote in January. As part of that mechanism, one of the things we would look to do is actually have an information session to discuss the amendments that have been put forward. So if members of the board have questions, they'll be able to ask that at that point, so that way we can continue and have a vote in January and be efficient as well with respect to that. That is a lot, and I thank everyone for your patience in terms of getting this information. And again, as I said, it's like I thank the board for all the hard work through this past year, but we need to be prepared to roll up our sleeves, because there's going to be so much more that is coming back up within the next 4 to 6 months, and then going into the course of the next couple of years as well. So I thank you in advance for making sure that you're engaged, that you're coming to the meetings, that you're reading your emails and making sure that we're educated and informed and we're active in terms of all these conversations. That is all I have for right now. I had no action items. Again, that one item we have is unfinished business that we will take up the motion and when we get to that section of the agenda. At this time, that concludes my report. I will take questions. We'll take a speakers list. Rabbi Berman, hold on, I'm just gonna call out names just to get the list and then we'll begin. Rabbi Berman, I do see your hand first, hold on. I see Tessa Hackett-Vieira. I see Ms. Chong, hold on.
Yep.
I see Ms. Moses.
And Kyrie.
I see Kyrie.
That's all the hands I see for now.
Okay, all right, so we'll begin. Rabbi Berman, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Good to see everybody. It's getting cold outside. Stay warm. Mr. Chair, I guess I'm not really clear because I was not here last month, had a major event and I was unable to attend. What exactly the motion is you're proposing to do in January, if you could clarify. And because I had many reservations with some of the suggestions put forth, some of them I had solutions to, meaning if we would put forth, like just to give you an example, if you were to issue report cards on whether people are attending and who's excused and who's not excused, and it's like a public record, then if you want to remove them, it would make the process a lot easier because it would be well documented who's attending. They would have noticed beforehand. It wouldn't be more like a back rooms, but whatever. I don't want to go into everything, but there are certain issues that just didn't make any sense. The chair could, whatever. The details are not really relevant here. What is relevant is that there was no format to actually comment on the suggestions. There was only a format to put forth your own suggestions. There really was no format to get into the details of what you're proposing. Furthermore, it's possible you emailed it to me, but I did not see any updates since that initial email with further suggested updates or edits. And if there has been conversation about this, for whatever reason, I have not seen any of this documented. So I'm not sure what motion you're suggesting, but I'm really, I don't see, if you have a bylaws you'd like to suggest, you could put it forth on the table. We could vote on it. If we're sort of tying your hands by making some sort of motion now, that we're going to have to vote in January. So that's why I'd like clarity on what exactly you're suggesting we vote on and why there's a need for a motion, even if you have bylaws you want to put forward. If you put forward the bylaws.
No, thank you very much for the question. So with respect to, so just to catch up, so last
month. And also
month,
clarify if there's been updates, because I haven't seen, and if I missed it, I'll go through my emails again.
There was an updated tracker that was sent out to the board with respect to all the submissions that have been put into the portal, the Google form that was provided to the board earlier. So that
So there's
is
an
the
update
latest.
that we could see everybody's submissions.
Yes, everyone who
All right.
submitted to the portal, those should all be listed there. So part of that was, and the way that was structured is you had what the original text is, so what we currently have, what the recommended language is that you're trying to do, and people were encouraged to put a rationale. Why are we doing this? Why is this important? Why are we doing this? So that updated document should be out. I think from the initial time we had closed it, we only got maybe, I don't think we even got more than another 1 or 2 actually recommendations. But that has been sent out.
So there's
So
your document plus additional 2 recommendations.
probably maybe
So it's
3. I
not, so
can't
it's
remember
pretty
which.
much the same document, basically. It's not, it's
Mostly,
not up.
yeah, I don't want to say because there's been a couple of iterations of it, but that final tracking sheet went out today. That's the latest and greatest that we know. So what we want to do is at least move on those items in terms of being able to say yay or nay. Now, just to also give some background with that as well. So last month, the motion was put on the floor for us to actually move on what we have. In terms
What do you
of there are
mean, vote on yes or no?
Yeah, in January. In
But there was
January
never
to
an
actually have a vote.
opportunity to have conversation about these
Right,
suggestions.
right. Well, and we finished that. So the motion was put on the floor for us to actually have a vote on January. It was put in November for us to build in opportunities to have conversations about some of the questions. So we weren't able to vote on it in January, but the intent is still to have an informational session where board members can ask questions with respect to any of the amendments that are currently there. Definitely understanding that we don't want to have the first conversation on anything in the actual board meeting because then we won't be able to accomplish the goal. So there will be an informational session for those amendments. If there's any questions with respect to those, board members will have to be able to have an opportunity to ask questions. When we get to January, the intent is we can either vote on them or make some small level changes depending on what they are, but ultimately to dispose of this. If we're good with the bylaws, we're good with the bylaws. Let's stop the conversation.
So what's the motion now?
The motion will be was to for the board to vote on the amendments in the January 23 meeting.
Why is there a need for that motion? If we want to vote on it, put forward on January, why tie our hands now? I'm not comfortable with what's currently out there. Why would I vote on something to force the board's hand in January to do something potentially impulsive or that we're unprepared for?
It's not impulsive. It's a matter of we're going to move on something, and all board members will have the right. If you're not comfortable with the actual text, and here's the thing: the first thing is for everyone to
put
get
forward the
hold on,
text in January.
If I can, if I can. Well, no, the motion, the text is put forward. So now it's incumbent on board members to read the text amendments, and if you are in favor of them or not in favor of them, you'll have an opportunity. Or if you feel that there's a way to improve those, that's the conversation. But ultimately, we want to move on this thing because it's something that's been out since September, and obviously, we didn't want to necessarily say we're going to vote on things at within 15 minutes of seeing it, but we do want to move on at some point as well.
So you're essentially we're voting now to tie our hands to vote in January.
We vote in January, correct?
All right. So to me, that sounds it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry, but it's fine.
Okay.
Everybody can vote the way they want.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Tessa.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chair, and good evening to the rest of the board. I was just wondering if you had some sense, if you could give me, because I might be the only one wondering, some sense of who's driving a lot of the redesign and redevelopment initiatives in the district. Is it Brooklyn wide? Is it coming out of the borough president's office? Is it coming out of the mayor's office? Is it private entities? Could you give me some sense of what's driving some of the redesign, B41, redesign around Grand Army Plaza? What's driving this?
Ooh, that's a great question. There are a number of people driving these things. I think in terms of the 41 buses, in terms of the 41 corridor, that's just something that needed to happen because, I mean, you have a bus line that crawls at certain points of the day. So if you have to go to work based on the 41, you're probably dead in the water, depending. So that makes sense where it's like, yes, we should be looking borough-wide in terms of how do you improve service on that corridor. That is something that was proposed by the mayor's office. But absolutely, I think that it's incumbent upon us to not sit back and let it be dictated to us. We need to be very proactive in terms of saying these are the things that we need to make sure happen. especially in respect to our district as well, because we live here and we have to deal with all those results. Grand Army Plaza, something similar. I believe that there was money involved in that. So what they're looking at is, well, what do we do with that corridor? Is it something where it's more parks and cultural? Do they create more green space? That's always been an initiative that they're doing. But again, it's a matter of, we also have, skin in the game, because depending on what you do on Grand Army Plaza, you may have backups going all the way up Eastern Parkway or down all the thoroughfares that come through the district. The Brooklyn, the network, the Brooklyn Bus Network, that whole redesign is something that's been that's been cooking for a little while. That actually got put back a little bit because of the pandemic. So this is something that's coming back up. I think it's opportunities for us to do better, hopefully. But the one thing I think, the common threads for all these things is that we need to make sure that we're not dictated to. We need to make sure that we have our thoughts and opinions expressed and respected as well. So I hope I answered some of that, but there's a little bit of all those. And this is not to say that some people have their own agendas as well, but I think the way we deal with that is that we make sure that our voices
of
are.
course, it goes without saying that some of it is a lot of it, or some of it has to do with politics.
I say nothing. I zip my lips on it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
No, but thank you for your question. Ms. Chung.
Yeah, thanks. And thank you for that very comprehensive report. I did attend the borough president's comprehensive planning town hall with you, and I would also urge other board members to start getting involved. I think I don't have to be as diplomatic as you, so I will just say that on the housing portion, some of the data was frankly mistaken. It massively undercounts the amount of new construction that's taken place in our district. That is very prejudicial to us. You just heard community members with their concerns about the amount of development that's taken place. So if that's a concern to you, you need to start looking at this. There are other sections of the report too that are addressed to health and education and jobs. And the reason that it's about the conversation is mainly about housing and zoning is if there's not a robust conversation about these other things. So I would urge the other committees to start looking at their portions. In particular, I would say that our district was called out for having very low capacity utilization in our public schools. That's also something that's going to affect land use planning. And I would like to see our education committee members look into why that's the case. We're also like somewhere near the bottom, I think, of all the districts for job creation. Again, I'd like to, see why that's the case, because we have these areas like the hospitals and also major kind of cultural institutions like the Botanic Gardens and the Brooklyn Museum that should be drivers of economic growth. So, I'd like to see if those numbers are accurate, and if they are, maybe that's something that part of the conversation we should be engaging in. With respect to some of the changes that are happening around transportation and what we want to talk about in the town hall, I think my neighbors would be wondering if I don't ask why just the general shortage of parking is not on the list of things for us to talk about. I think I've mentioned it before. There's like constant double parking on my block every night, 3 or 4 cars. And if we start eliminating parking to do bus lanes and Flatbush, it's going to be 10 cars double parked every night on my block. And at some point that becomes a public safety issue, because fire trucks cannot get to apartments that are having fires when there are double parked cars. So that's, I think just lack of parking should be on the agenda when we talk about transportation issues. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for that. Ms. Moses.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to really kind of make a comment in reference to the bylaws. I'm not sure everybody knows that the bylaws are really just internal rules on how we govern our board. And it's not, it's also, when you make, to me, when we're making the bylaws, you have to look at the New York City Charter. That's number one. So you can't just make any rule up that you want. So if you go to, I think it's section 2800, you would read about how our boards are governed. And the second thing is, one of the things that I think that we're also missing, and while we're having a lot of problems here, and I think I brought to your attention before, I think that if you know what the duties is, like for instance, the duties of a chairperson, if it's written, everybody knows. So it doesn't matter who take over the position, everybody would know what they're supposed to do. So all of the positions really should be written. And I gave you a good example. If y'all would go into Google it, if you look at Community Board 9 in Manhattan, it's really, theirs are really laid out really nicely. But my point was that you just can't make any old rule up that you want to fit your own purpose or your whatever you want. It has to be governed by rules and regulations. So I myself did the study. I looked at community boards. I look at them all. I went from 2 all the way up. You know, I viewed at least maybe 10. And I found Community Board 5, Community Board 4, and Community Board 9 really had really detailed. They're not that much different from ours. It's just laid out differently. So I just wanted to have people recommend that you read the New York City Charter. If you go to section, I think, yeah, 2800, and also chapter 69. And also, if you go to page 28 in your manual for board members, you will also find that what the duties are in terms of bylaws. And that's all I have to say. Homework, homework.
No, thank you very much for that. And just to add to that comment as well. So I know that there was some concerns about the legality of some of these things. So some of that we've already gone through the process of vetting versus charter regulations, administrative regulations. You know, again, I think, you know, we were able to look into case law in some instances as well in terms of there were actual legal determinations that were made as well. But with that being said, and that's part of the reason why we wanted to make sure we had an opportunity for an informational session. So if there are still outstanding questions or things you would like to see vetted, it'll be an opportunity to understand and get clarity on that. Even if in advance members would like to have questions about some of that, that might be something we can do in terms of getting that feedback via email. So we can actually start that process of answering some of those questions. Again, I don't want us to necessarily have a full, you know, I think it's not efficient for us to have a full 3-hour discussion on these amendments in a board meeting. So we're going to try and create that opportunity to have conversations on that. And again, I think at some point, I do want us to be able to move the agenda in terms of if we're good, if we think it enhances the board, if it makes us better, vote in favor. If you're not convinced, we vote no, but we move on. And that's okay. All right, Mr. Lane, I saw your hand.
Yes, so again, good evening, everyone. I wanted to say I agree with all of my fellow board members who spoke about so many different things. You definitely did give a great comprehensive report, so thank you for that, Fred. In regards to parking, I want to say that I was going to also speak on that. I believe it was Suki. I've been approached by members in my community recently because of what happened with Tivoli Towers. It really stopped up parking on our blocks and in our neighborhood, which is right across the street from Botanic Gardens, who now is going to start having more weddings. Shout out to Primo that's coming out. You know, the parking is a really huge issue, and I was going to ask that we move to put that on the agenda. And most importantly, the bylaws. So back from last year when we initially started to speak about the bylaws, I believe myself, along with a couple others, including yourself, was champion of change. And as we just skip over to September of this year, and I believe it was our first executive committee meeting, when it was proposed that we, and even now, I'm not sure who the we is because I sit on the executive committee and serve as member at large. I haven't missed a meeting. I don't believe, or even if I've missed one or two, I'm sure I have never heard any input from us. And from September, my ask was and request is that we do it and create a bylaw committee. So that way the committee actually can take all input from everyone. The way that how this was set off was you first set out a whole slew of different amendments that you would like to make. And you say those are your amendments. I asked about that. I felt as though I was shot down for speaking up or just saying that we should open this up to the public, by way of also looking at this New York City charter. And I too brought up other community boards, bylaws, and their different processes as well. Yes, I do believe we all are in favor that there's some change that needs to happen. However, the vote was never, in my opinion, for us to vote on if we're going to amend these changes, because this whole process wasn't correct. I mean, after the 10 days we were allotted to submit our suggestions, after you submitted your suggestions, which included some that I was going to make some changes. Again, the whole call, I think that we should make a motion tonight for is to have an actual bylaw committee, and we handle that. If not, it's no need to vote for these amendments because everybody hasn't had ample time and a fair opportunity to make this change. So thank you.
All right, thanks for the comments. Just to address some of those as well, because I think some of that came up during the public commentary. I fully own the ones I put out, just based on my experience, based on conversations, based on everything I've seen, and based on some of the places where I've seen as, they didn't work. They didn't work, or they made life more difficult. So I offer that as someone who's been there, seen it happen, who shared some of the experience with some of the other, more senior board members on there as well. They are definitely not the be all and end all. They are my recommendations in terms of the way I think that it serves us better to move forward. After that, we fully opened up the process in terms of, we said, if anyone else has additional ideas or thoughts in terms of vision, so you don't have to take Fred's version of it. If you think that this is what should happen or that's what should happen, absolutely put that on the floor, because that gives us an opportunity to look at more than one way to look at an issue, or more than one way to address a potential problem we see. And we can synthesize, harmonize, this one sounds better, or mix and match whatever we need to do. But that is something that was sent out to the board. There were several emails that went out asking board members to submit. We've still, even after that has closed, board members have said that they still wanted to submit. That form is actually still open. That form had been open for a good while. But I think at this point, what we're looking at is this is something that has started from September. We are now at the end of December. And, this is going to be one of those things where it's paralysis by analysis. We're overthinking it. I think that some of the stuff, if it's good, it's good. If it's really not that good, fine, we can say that, but it doesn't make sense for us to dwell on that in terms of now let's, we do so much where it's like we're thinking so much about it, and all of a sudden we're in June and we haven't even really done too much of that. The other piece of that I wanted to add as well is, and I think the reason why we were looking at this path is because we need to be very cognizant. I need to be as chair, but we need as a board to be very cognizant of the resources we have. We have 10 committees that are standing committees that we already have attendance issues with. We have authorized a subcommittee that we want to make sure is dealing with some of the issues we have. There's going to be a lot more work that is coming down the pike as well. Do we really have the wherewithal, the resources, in terms of saying, let's add an extra committee in there? Do we want to have this going for another 2 or 3 months to come up with largely what may be or may not be similar recommendations? So the idea is we can vote on it, put it to bed. Whatever works, works. Whatever doesn't. But we're able to move on because we're definitely going to have a lot more that we need to concentrate on as we go forward.
Okay,
Right.
so from that, did you just suggest that we will be voting on if we should have a committee to take care of this?
No. What was? No, I was just explaining what the process was.
Okay,
with
so
respect
can
to
we
that.
still make that motion after?
We're going through the report.
Okay.
Well, that'll be an opportunity to do once we get to the unfinished business. But let's go
Thank
through this. Ms. Westerdahl.
Yeah, good evening, Chairman and board members. I find it unfortunate and concerning that there's so much resistance to the discussion of these individual bylaws that Fred proposed. I would like to be able to comment on the document, not add additional additional bylaws, even though I have some ideas. I would rather prefer to focus on the ones that Fred and Kyrie, I believe, proposed that are already there and be able to comment on them individually and see what other people are thinking. And that is not open. I tried to comment on that document numerous times and I can only add additional bylaws. I can't comment on the proposals that are there for each individual bylaw. That's what I would like to do. And that's what I would like to talk about. And I hope that we have a proposal to have a committee or a meeting or a session or whatever we need to do to talk about with those of us who want to do that. You know, I don't want to just vote yes or no on the bylaws. You know, this one, that one, this is what Fred wants. You know, I'm voting yes or no. I want to discuss them and fine tune them with my fellow board members. And I hope we can do that. And I hope there's a proposal for a committee or whatever we need to do that. Thank you.
Understood. And I think I mentioned, I just want to make sure I reiterate. We understand where it's like, you know what, it's probably not fair to say, okay, listen, in 10 minutes, we're gonna have a vote on 19 different proposals that, you know, and I think, listen, if we're honest with ourselves, not all board members have even read all of them, I'm pretty sure. And again, there may still even reasonably be questions about some of the stuff in terms of where is it coming from? Why are we asking these things? So I recommended that we actually do an informational session within the next month prior to the meeting, where we will have that opportunity to see the full list of what's been recommended, and board members will have an opportunity to ask those questions. Because I think that will make us more informed by the time we get to the board meeting, where, okay, we can say that sounds good, that doesn't sound good. Or you know what, or we can make a decision one way or another on any of the amendments, on any 1, any 3, any 5, all of them or none of them. But I think the idea is that we want to be able to move on that. So that is something that is going to be done in terms of, you know, should the amendment actually be adopted for the vote next month, there will be an informational session which will be had for board members to ask questions with respect to any of the, you know, the proposed amendments that have been put forward. And I just want to address something very quickly in terms of, you know, there's a dynamic in terms of the conversation where I'm noticing where it's Fred's amendments, it's Fred's ideas, it's Fred's opportunity to try and grab power and become master of the universe, or at least Community District 9. One of the things that I think that fuels that is that we really have this idea that there is a power dynamic going on here. There is a power grab, which is really unfortunate, because I think if we really go back to the base of this, there is no power in CB9. We are an advisory board. So even when we discuss these things, we don't necessarily have the power to implement those things. But I think what some of these amendments are trying to do is say, even our discussion, we have better ways to at least do that and hopefully structure ourselves better in that sense. There is none of the amendments that at any point say that somebody gets more power. I think what it does is say that, listen, there are probably better ways that we can do things or arrive to conclusions, as opposed to saying, okay, well, you know, less meeting time for that, or less meetings for that, or other mechanisms in terms of that. So I just say that just to, you know, because I think it's important, because I think there's this dialogue that's been going around about it's a power grab. It has nothing to do. Fred will not be chair of CB9 forever. We had one chair who was here for 34 years. I will not be the next, guaranteed. But what I think it's about is a matter of we're looking at this board in terms of what sets the board up for better performance, more efficiency, in perpetuity. Okay, I see Ms. Baptiste, and we're going to have to close on Ms. Baptiste because we do need to move forward in the agenda.
Good evening, everyone. On the call. I apologize. I did not hear your comprehensive report, and I will go to YouTube to make sure I check it out. Secondly, I heard Suki mention about the education piece in regards to all of this new planning that is going to arise. Me and Suki had a conversation about school zoning for a long time. And because of my experience in the schools, that is true. there's an underutilization of the education system, especially from elementary to junior high school. And I'm not really sure about high school, where there is an underutilization for public schools, where there is room to bring in a lot of charter schools. Unfortunately, in our district, kids are being not from the district that are being adhered to in the schools because there's underutilization. This district, District 17, School District 17, has the most population of charter schools, being kids coming from other zones, other districts, other communities to come into our schools and have no place for the children that live in the community. I'm not sure if everybody is aware, but I am very aware. And I'm reaching out to say that this is something that is very important. It also turns around where, I'll talk to you later. It also turns around that because my son, my son is on the spectrum of autism, unfortunately, me joining the CEC before, within the 4 years that I've been here, that's the only reason why programs have came to this district of District 17. We do not have a public school special education. We do not have, we have one junior high school in this whole district, but we have a plethora of charter schools that do not accept special education children. We also have on my committee, yes, we talked about low attendance, but unfortunately, due to me not being the type of person to say the right things or say not speak as everyone eloquently does, I don't have everyone in my committee coming and I have something that I want to offer, but because I don't have quorum, nobody comes. So I'm very disappointed. It's becoming very heart-wrenching. I did speak to the district manager and we had a conversation, and he was very upset at me because I said this is a volunteer position. And we talked about that. But like I said again, this is my time that I joined this community board. Nobody didn't make me. I decided to do it because I wanted to better my community. I live in the quadrant of Crown Heights. I had to argue with the office to bring technology over here. And yes, we have one pillar on Troy Avenue, on Troy between Union and President. But unfortunately, it does not work. So I don't have any internet. So I'm using my son's iPad, educational iPad, to come to this meeting. So, I mean, we talk about all these things and nothing is being done for the community residents that live here. I live on Troy Avenue. I don't see any changes in my neighborhood for myself. So that's why I joined the board. But unfortunately, it seems like I'm fighting the grain, and it's very disheartening to keep wasting my time with things that don't be lifted up because I'm not as eloquent or know everything about what's going on. I'm naive, or I feel like I'm dumb when I come here because every time I try to make an issue, there's always either I don't get the right response or they cut me off or whatever. And we will never, as a community board, from what I feel, seem like we would get ahead anywhere because we keep doing the same thing to each other and not for the community. So thank you for the room to speak, and you have a nice night.
Okay. Along those lines, let me just say something very, very quickly. I was having a conversation with the district office team, and one of the things that, let me say this first. First of all, for all of you who are on here, for all the chairs, for all the members, thank you for stepping up to do this. So let's start right there. And understanding we're all coming from different places, different experiences, different levels, different walks of life. That's the strength of the board. Okay, so everyone is here because you're supposed to be here. All right. We are all learning as we go through this. And I think one of the things that we realize is that, you know what, we're not going to get it perfect, but I think one of the things we're going to try and do is help each other get better as we go along. And all of it for the benefit of the district and the community. So one of the things that I definitely want to make sure is I think we need to kind of rethink, and it's a valid criticism in terms of we need to make sure that we have a focus, that we know exactly how we're doing. The attendance issues we already talked about, we'll discuss. So if you're a chair who's having an issue with attendance, let the board know, let me know, and we will fix that for you. We will work with you to fix that. If you are having trouble drafting your agenda, let's talk about that, or even in a more general sense, let's look at it this way. One of the things that I think that we are always more effective with is when we do resolutions. In terms of a resolution, you're gonna have two pieces. You give the facts of the matter, whereas this is what's going on in CB9, whereas this is what's going on in CB9, whereas this is what's going on in CB9. So every committee can do that, talk about what's the state of CB9. And then you come to that final part of the resolution. It is resolved. We need to get more computers. We need to have a sensible parking plan. We need to have whatever it is. So if it's not happening in the committees, and this is something we will work with the committees and the chairs to do this, let's get that straight in terms of if we'll set those priorities for the committee and for the board, I think it focuses us and helps us get more done. And we can go down the list and see what we've got done and what we haven't. But I'm thankful, but thank you for giving that feedback. Again, thank you for being here. And again, we're all at different levels, but we're all here together and we're all learning and everyone contributes to this board. All right, I'm going to close on that just because I want to make sure we have a couple of business items that we want to get through. We do have the SLA applications that we need to take care of. Plus, we want to resolve that last unfinished business that we had as well. Okay, so we will go to the voting items. The next section will be the voting items, the SLA applications. If I could ask Primo, very briefly, could you just give a brief synopsis or tell us what the votes were from the respective committee, from your committee on the respective applications?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the first one, Fiona's, we voted for unanimously for a full renewal of the license. And then for the other application for the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens, which is the Union Square Hospitality Group, we voted unanimously in support of granting a license, granted that they provided the letter that they did provide, which made a commitment to hiring 50% from the local community and sharing those links so that we could circulate them. And so, yeah, they provided exactly what we asked for. And so unanimous vote in favor of both applications.
Okay, so Fiona's was a renewal full license, correct?
Correct.
And Restaurant Associates?
Yes.
They are new license or what are they?
New, it's technically a
It
new
is
license, right?
Technically
Yeah.
new license, okay. And it's full, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, so we have the recommendations of, well, hold on, and just to make sure as well, and there were no adverse reports from NYPD.
FDNY or NYPD,
FDNY,
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have
For
that
Fiona's, none. For Restaurant Associates, there's kind of no way to do.
There's no way they would have that.
And it's new.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. All right. So at this time, so the recommendation was made by the Public Safety Committee to approve both of those licenses, the renewal and the new license for those two applicants. It was brought to the Executive Committee. We voted in favor of moving it to the General Board as well. So these two applications stand. Let me ask this in advance. Is there any objection to combining these into one resolution? Okay, I see one. Suki, you have an objection? Suki, are you raising your hand for an objection?
Yes,
Okay.
Brad, I don't want to hold up the whole process and make us do a voice vote for everyone, but I would like it noted that my vote, if I'm the only one, but I'd like it noted that my vote is abstain on Fiona's Bar, which is a renewal for a license with a 4 a.m. closing time, and yes on the Restaurant Associates license, which has a closing time of 8 p.m. But if everybody else feels differently, you guys can combine.
One point of clarity, Suki, the application was updated. It is a closing time of 12 a.m. rather, you know what I mean?
For Fiona's.
No, for the Restaurant Associates.
Okay, yes, I would still have the same.
Okay, duly noted. Okay, so it's not common consent. So do I have a motion to combine the two resolutions into one for approval? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have it moved by Warren Burke. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Michael Liebert. Was that you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, moved and seconded. All right, so let's see. We're going to save some time here. All those members of the board in favor of approving the motion to combine into one resolution.
Point of
Yes.
order. Any more
Yes.
discussion?
Thank you very much. Any more discussion?
I would like to comment. I've just noted previously that we voted separately when the licenses were new and the licenses were renewal. We decided to vote it separately. So I would like us to do the same thing. If vote for the renewal separately from the new license. That was decided last time. That's what we did.
Okay, no, but this motion, you will be able to note your objection through your vote. And the majority will carry, a majority vote will carry the motion. All right, is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of the motion to combine to one resolution to approve, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, are there any members who are in opposition? Please state your name for the record.
Teresa
Call for-
West, no
you're-
to come.
Okay, duly noted. Ms. Westerdahl is a no vote for the motion. Are there any other members who wish to vote no for the motion to combine?
Celeste Chase, no for the motion.
Duly noted, thank you. Any other members of the board who wish to vote no? Okay, seeing none. Are there any members of the board who wish to abstain from that motion at this time? Call for a second time. Are there any members of the board at this time who wish to abstain from the motion? Madam Secretary, please note no abstentions. All right, so from I hear the motion carries, the majority of the board voted in favor. So we will vote now on this one resolution, this one resolution to vote on both of the applications. Okay. All right, so the motion is on the floor for the combined vote. Is there any questions with regards to this?
I move that we vote. Make the motion to vote for application.
Well, since we combined it, so we have it's on the floor now because we combined it into one resolution, so it's on the floor.
I
So
move, I move is there a second?
Okay, so we have a motion to adopt the resolution by Mr. Almanor. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Courtenay Loisel. Did I get your name right?
You did, good job.
All right, there we go. Okay, moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Ms. Westerdahl, I did note your objection, as well as Ms. Chase as well from before. So we do note your objection in terms of doing the combined resolution. Suki, we noted your objection as well. Well, Suki, did you have an objection or?
No, she abstained on one and yes for the other one. So there's no
Yes.
objection.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Okay, is there any other discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, we're going to call the question. All those members of the board in favor of the motion to approve both those applications, please say aye.
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 Okay. Are there any members? Thank you. Are there any members of the board in opposition? Please state your name for the record.
Celeste Chase, opposition.
Okay, no vote. Please record a no vote for Celeste Chase. Any other members who wish to vote no?
Teresa Westerdahl, no on the Danny Myers, Hudson Yards.
Okay,
liquor li- And yes on Fiona's.
it's a combined resolution. You're
It's a
voting
combined-
yes for, it's either vote. It's either a yes or a no. You can't split it.
Oh, I thought Suki split hers.
No. She voiced objection, so we didn't do it by common consent. The board adopted the resolution. So do you vote yes or no on the resolution for the both?
No.
Okay, duly noted. Ms. Westerdahl is a no. Are there any other members of the board who wish to vote no?
Yeah, my vote is an abstention on the whole thing. Thank you.
Just jumped ahead of me. Okay, so Suki is an abstention. Any other members who wish to abstain at this time? Any other members of the board who wish to abstain from the vote? Okay, Madam Secretary, please note those no votes and abstentions and mark all those others present as voting in favor. The motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to the next item, which is unfinished business. At the last meeting, we had a motion on the floor for the board to vote on the submitted bylaws amendments at the January 2023 meeting. We were in the middle of the vote. We lost quorum. So it is back on the agenda as unfinished business for the board to dispose of. At this time, I will entertain a motion to pick up the motion from the table.
So moved, Tessa Hackett Vera, board member.
Okay. I have it moved by Tessa Hackett Vera to pick up the motion from the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Warren Burke. Okay. Discussion. Is there any questions about the motion to pick up from the table?
Yeah,
Yes,
I want to speak in opposition, no discussion.
Go ahead, Rabbi Berman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I feel this motion is unnecessarily tying our hands. We have bylaws, the bylaw. I agree with the chair, who, by the way, is an expert on Robert rules, and I don't think that's going to be the issue. He's really knowledgeable in that area, but I don't agree with a number of the suggestions. I do think there are other issues that aren't addressed in proposed bylaws, and I don't see it happening in time for the January meeting. And I think that it'd be foolish of us to tie our hands and say, let's do it wrong or halfway or not do it at all. I don't see the benefits. These bylaws have been this way for, I don't know, 30 years. If it takes an extra 2-3 months to get it right, let's do it right. Let's do it full. Let's do it transparent. And therefore, I'm urging everybody to vote no and not tie our hands. Thank you.
Duly noted. Thank you very much, Rabbi Berman. Are there anyone else who wishes to speak on the motion to lift from the table? I will actually add, well, you know, I'll hold back. Go ahead. Anyone else who wishes to speak?
yes, Kyrie Ali.
Yes.
So I too would caution everyone with this voting because our hands would be tied, and to say no, even though some of my suggestions are up to the table. Again, I was never under the impression at those meetings that we would be voting for the adoption of these suggestions because the time is still open for us to submit more. So that doesn't make any sense for me. I believe that we should have a committee and give everyone ample time. And again, echoing what Yaakov just said, if it takes months, I wouldn't even willing to say if it takes another year from a committee that's going to take the voice of the public. Again, remember, we might be an advisory board and or volunteers, as both Naomi and Fred has stated earlier. However, we're doing this for the community and they need to have an input on the laws that are governing their representatives as well. So I say no, and I want us to make a motion for a committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. All right, Ms. Moses, I see you.
Oh, now, are we voting on these bylaws as a group or are we going to each individual one? I mean, how are we doing that?
Well, hold on. Let's do this first. The motion right now is actually to pick it up from the table. So we haven't even gotten to the motion yet. This is just to pick it up from the table for us to consider and dispose of it.
Okay, and I just want to say this once again. I mean, I keep hearing, I don't have a problem with a committee, but you're talking about the bylaws it's really just for us in terms of the laws for the community boards. It's just internal rules. So when you're talking about having people in from the community, they're not a part of the board.
Okay, well, listen.
Let me just I have to say this because, again, the bylaws is just the rules that's already in place. I don't understand what the big deal is. All you got to do is go to your rules, see if it fits the charter, and see if it fits us. It is not an individual situation, and I don't understand why that keeps coming up. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Moses. All right, so listen, I see hands going up. All right, before we take these questions, the motion on the floor is to take it up from the table. So we're not even talking about the January vote yet. We haven't taken it up from the table. So unless your comment is germane to taking it up from the table, please, I would ask, hold off. When it comes from the table, there will be an opportunity to discuss the motion for us to vote in January.
But Mr.
Okay.
Chair, you should clarify that if you're planning to vote no, there's no purpose of voting yes now to vote no later, because we'll just waste time.
Right.
Leaving it on the table is the same thing as voting no, not to put it on the table in January.
Point
Same
point
vote.
taken. Yeah, point taken. If you don't want to touch it, you guys just vote no, and it's like we don't even touch it. It stays on the table. So that is an option
Thank
as
you.
well if you want to wish to vote no. Point taken. Ms. Baptiste, Ms. Westerdahl, do you have comments? You wish to give debate on the motion to take it from the table?
My comment is to take the motion on the table.
Okay.
The reason why I'm saying, see, again, like I'm saying, we're talking to a board where we're making decisions for the community. Am I correct? I'm just saying, the reason why I'm asking is because I want to pick it up from the table. But if we keep going on back and forth about how to even pick it up, that's becoming annoying. So that's why I'm asking, like, for my understanding, I'm with the motion. I'll third the motion to pick it off the table so we can comment on it. But we can't keep going back and forth about who's saying what and what is happening, because we will never finish a meeting if we keep going back and forth. So my thing is that I want to pick it up off the table. That's the comment. And all the other commentary is not unnecessary for us to talk because you didn't like what I said. That is immature. So can we please pick it up off the table, because I really have something to do. So I'm trying to be very patient and be very kind, but this is really like, this is why we have what we have. So can we please be mature about this and pick it up off the table so we can end this, so we can go up about our lives and try to get some work done? Please, I'm begging.
Thank you, Ms. Baptiste. Ms. Westerdahl.
I second that.
Me too.
Okay, order of the
Me
day.
three.
Okay, order of the day. Order of the day. We get through this faster if we just go through this. Ms. Westerdahl, you have the last comment, and then we're going to vote on taking it from the table. Yes, Ms. Westerdahl. Ms. Westerdahl, did you have a comment?
Yeah, sorry. People kept talking, so I wasn't sure. Yeah, I would like to pick it up and talk about it. You know, I read through the bylaws, and there's some of them that I feel very uncomfortable saying yes to. And some seem like a really good idea, but some don't. And I'm just afraid the way that this is being presented and pressured to, like, we're just going to be tired and it's going to be late and everybody's just going to vote yes so we can go to bed and go home and enjoy our families, you know? So that's an issue with how these votes are. So late meetings.
Mr. Chair, can you clarify? Because I think not everybody understands what it means. Pick it up, leave it on, what we're voting. I think it sounds like a little confusion here based on some of the comments.
No, absolutely. I'll explain the motion. So I think we're going to close the debate right now because that was the last one we're recognizing. I will explain that motion right now. Okay. Thanks everyone for the commentary. So at this time, we are closing commentary again. So what we're doing now at this time is voting to pick up the motion. So for the board to consider whether, whether we're going to vote on this in January. So this is just, are we going to discuss it or does it stay on the table? All right. So in other words, we're not going to discuss the motion to pick it up from the motion to have the vote in January. So if you vote in favor, we're going to discuss the motion for a vote in January. If you vote in opposition, we do not discuss it. You're voting not to discuss it at all. Okay. All right. At this time,
Not discuss not discuss the bylaws, not discuss whether to vote in January on the bylaws. If you want to discuss the bylaws, that's not what we're asking here. We're asking, should we pick up the motion to vote in January on these bylaws, or should we leave it now and figure it out later? Correct, Fred?
This sounds about correct. Well, what I'm saying is the net impact is if
It
you vote
seems
no.
that some of the commenters think that by voting no, you're
Right.
saying
No, and that's what I'm saying.
bylaws.
Voting. Yeah, there will be an opportunity to vote no on the bylaws. If you really are that adamant, you don't think we should discuss it at all, leave it on the table. Vote no, leave it on the table. if you think this is
And
at
we'll
least worth
discuss the
discussing.
bylaws at a later date. The bylaws are not on the table. The vote is on the table. The bylaws will be opportunity for conversation as long until we get it right.
All right. Okay, so at this time, Madam Secretary, please call the roll. Everyone, please keep your ear open for your name. We're going to record your vote.
Okay. Hold a minute. Kyrie Allen? Kyrie Allen?
Oh, Karen.
Yes, my apologies.
Nicholas Almanar?
I want to vote no.
For or against?
To pick it up off the
Pick
table.
it off the table or not? Nicholas Almanar?
Mr. Almanor, you're muted.
I can't see him, so.
Come back to Mr. Almanor.
Let it
Okay.
stay on the table. Let it stay on the table. No.
No, okay.
Okay.
Stuart Malberg? Absent. Fred Baptiste?
Yes.
Naomi Baptiste?
That is a double yes for me. Jesus Christ.
Thank you.
She only gets one though.
Okay, John Beckles Jr. Rabbi Berman? Rabbi Berman?
No.
You. Warren Burke?
Yes.
Augustine Blackwell?
No.
Celeste Chase?
No.
Suki Chow?
Yes.
So Cleary? Oh, not there. Jamie Epstein not there. Matthew not there. Tessa Hackett Vieira. I'm sorry.
Yes, let's pick it up off the table so we could move
Thank you.
forward.
Bishop Gonzalez?
Yes.
Thank you. Abina Hatchful?
Yes.
Prima Lozana?
Yes.
Francisco Leopold?
Yes.
Mena Lagute? Mina Lagute?
Yes.
Thank you. Michael Leiberg?
Yes.
Matthias Limberger?
Yes.
Hold on, coming to the second page. Courtenay?
Yes.
Christian Lubo?
Yes.
Letwine Mavana?
Yes.
Thank you. Erin Mazursky? Vivian Morgan? Patricia Moses?
Yes.
Beverly Newsom? I can't see. Is Beverly still there?
No, she's
No, she's
excused
not here.
today.
Okay, thanks. Riley Paris Booms?
Yes.
Thank you. He's not there. Milford Pewitt? Mr. Pewitt?
Yes.
Unella Romperi? Is she still there? Somebody tell me.
Unella, she's gone.
Unella? She was
She
there
might
when
be
I took-
muted.
Yeah, because when I took she was there. Okay, I'll
Maybe
come back
she's
to her.
muted.
Okay, Dexter Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you. Philippe Spearson, oh, she wasn't there. She's not here. Rashida Sadiq?
I'm trying to.
Yes.
Rashida?
Yes.
Thank you. Debbie Timothy? Debbie Timothy?
Yes. Yes.
Linda Watson Lord, yes. Miss Teresa Westerdahl?
No.
Thank you. Lorianne Wolseley?
Yes.
Thank you. Cheryl Wright?
Yes.
Okay, hold on a minute. Let me do some counting.
Yeah, can you call for Unella again? Well, let me see. Actually, if you could call for Mr. Beckles and Unella, I thought I saw them on.
Hold on. Yeah, Mr. Beckers, John Beckers Jr.?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So not there. Hold on. You not. I've gotten you now. I forgot. Who would you say, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, did Unella vote? I'm sorry if she voted on it. I thought you called her name, but I didn't hear her vote. Unella?
Yeah, she voted. I heard her.
My mistake.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Mr. Chair, the vote, but 25 yes, 4 no's.
5 yes, 4 no's. Thank you. The motion carries. It is picked up from the table. We are now, I will open discussion on the motion to have the vote at the January board meeting. I want to put myself on the list first. I want to speak on this. Anyone else wish to speak on the motion?
I'll speak after you, Fred.
Okay, Rabbi Berman, put you down. Okay, who else?
Okay, hold on, let me get back to the Zoom so I see.
Okay, well, all right,
Kyrie
Suki.
Ali, sorry. my
Suki,
phone.
Tessa, Moses.
Okay, see Aline, see Moses, I'm sorry, Young, Moses.
Rabbi next.
Okay, all right, let's start with that. We'll go through this first and then we'll go. I just want to say very quickly is this. Definitely hearing a lot of the feedback we've received. There are a good number of amendments that have been put forward. We can't let perfect be the enemy of good and say, oh, by the way, we didn't get everything that we can get. I think if it puts us in a better position, we are better for it. And there is always an opportunity for us to improve the document. That's one. Two, to the point that we are locked in, we are not locked in. I think that as you know, if we set the date for a vote on this, we are making the commitment where we will have an opportunity prior to discuss in depth, because I understand that the board hasn't had an opportunity to discuss them. And that's a function of we didn't have a way of being able to facilitate that conversation electronically. But we fully recognize that people will have questions. So we'll have that opportunity that will be set up. 3, I do have to say I disagree that we are locked in, because we are not locked in. I think what we do is we set ourselves a deadline to resolve this. And even if we don't fully resolve it, we can vote on some of them, we can vote on all of them, we can vote on none of them. Or if we find that we have additional, we need to take additional time, we can move to table as well at that meeting. But I think it's critical for us as a board to be in the mindset, we're gonna move forward. We like them, we don't like them, or we need a little bit more time, we can do that, but we can do this moving forward and putting the, and settling the matters that we can settle. So even if we don't get 19, but we get a good 10 and we're good with that, fine, we move on and we can table or vote everything else down afterwards. But let's move. Rabbi Berman.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Well, in response to what the chair said, that we're not locked in. If we're not locked in, I don't really see the purpose of the motion. The whole motion is to vote in January, yes or no. So we're locked into voting in January. The reason why I disagree with the chair and I think we should vote no is because if we perfect the bylaws by January, there's nothing stopping from anybody from making a motion in January. Let's vote on these bylaws. So by voting no now does not mean we're not going to vote in January. It means we're going to assess the bylaws. And when we have something we're comfortable with, we will vote yes or no.
You ate
So
Betty?
I don't really see the purpose. You know, it's similar.
Everybody continue.
I'm sorry, Rabbi. Members,
Why
please, if you are not
upset if
speaking,
you eat?
members of the board, if you are not speaking, please mute your microphones. Thank you, Rabbi. I'm sorry, continue.
I do just want to say, clarify again that it's not that I feel there's some kind of conspiracy here or Fred grabbing power. I don't believe any of that. I think Fred means well, is doing his best. I just feel as a board member for many, many years, almost as long as Fred or equal to Fred, I don't remember exactly who was first, but we've both been on for many years. Some of the key issues are not addressed and some of the issues are addressed wrongly. And I feel that we're not going to do it right if we make a vote now to vote in January. When we have something complete or something which is better, which, you know, I'm comfortable with, then I'll vote yes. And if we don't have it, I'll never vote yes. But to vote now that we should vote in January on what we have when everybody sort of is in agreement that we have now is not what we're looking for, I think would be foolish. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Kyrie, I have you next.
Yes. So I too want to say that I urge everyone to vote no on these amendments, including everyone that I submitted as well. Again, I would like to make it clear in the very beginning when reviewing the whole process and when Fred first sent off the stuff in September and then gave us an opportunity in October to submit our changes. I do not think it's in a malicious way. I do think you do an amazing job and you're very thorough. You know everything in terms of the Roberts Rules of Order. With that being said, some of the suggested amendments that you've made, we know you've been a great chair, but if you're no longer going to be here, like you said, you won't be here for 30 years. I do believe other chairs coming after you in other positions will have too much power, whether it's sought out or not, to remove a point and just speak for the board and when we are a collective. So that's why I say that we should not vote for this. And again, agreeing and echoing what Yaakov is just saying, that we do need more time. And at any moment, we can present something packaged well enough to the board from us board members. And that's why I think we should have a committee to do so. So I say no, and then I would love for everybody's support when I move a motion to have a committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyrie. Suki.
So I think I've said this before, but I haven't had as much time to think about the bylaws as I'd like, because like every other board member, I have a lot of other things going on. But I've noticed that a number of the amendments that Fred put forward initially are what I would call ministerial. They're required to bring us into compliance with the charter, and I don't think they're controversial, and I don't have a problem voting those through in January. There are other things that seem to, be controversial with some people, and I think everybody knows that I don't have a problem voting no or abstain on things that I'm not sure about. And I think that you all have the right to do the same. I don't see what the issue is. Fred has also pointed out that, we can make a motion to table if we feel that certain things need more work. There's also the option of, one thing that gives me hesitation with the January scheduling is you guys are also saying that you want to have a transportation town hall at the end of January, which is an important substantive thing that we're doing for our constituents, not for ourselves. And if we have to pay attention to that, do we also want this in front of us? Maybe there's a better month to do this. And the final thing is, if there are amendments that people haven't had time to think about yet, like I haven't had time to think about it, as Fred has pointed out before, anybody can bring up these amendments at any time with 10 days notice to the rest of the board. So any of you can email the rest of us with your thoughts and your proposals and make a proposal, and then, but you have to just make it, with enough advance notice to the rest of us. So, I agree with Fred that at some point this has to be dealt with. And I don't really, I also agree that we don't, I don't know that we have the wherewithal to create so many separate committees. If there are people who really want it, then fine. But I'm, seeing, as, Fred says, that there's fairly low attendance overall and our energies are spread very thin. So I would just, those are my thoughts.
Good, thank you, Suki. See Ms. Moses. Yeah, see, I have Ms. Moses and then I have Tessa.
Okay. I think we need to move forward because bylaws can be revised at any time. Like, for instance, if we see that you put a bylaw in place and maybe 2 months later, we can always revise the bylaws. But one of the things, again, I stress that I don't know if are you going to vote on them individually or as a group? That's what I'm concerned about. I don't know how that vote is going to take place. Like, in other words, the changes that were made, you're going to tell us what it was before and what we're voting on now. And to me, each one is an individual vote. That's my point. Because I did read some of the things where people wanted to change some of the bylaws, but it had nothing to do with the charter. It appeared that it had something to do with their personal, how they feel personally. And that's not what bylaws are all about. So I just want to know how that's going to be voted on, as a group or individually.
Those will be options we have. Similar to what we did, we can create a resolution. If there are 4 or 5 of them, you say those are no-brainers, create a resolution, vote on 4 or 5 of them. Okay. There'll be ways we can create it to make it more efficient as we go along. But yeah, there are ways we can definitely facilitate that. There are ways to facilitate that.
Right. And I just want to say, I've been on this board, I guess, maybe 6 years. And those bylaws are really kind of outdated. And I think we do need to move forward. And again, I stress to people, read other people's bylaws, because they keep talking about the chairperson this and chairperson. If you will read, you will know what the duties are of the chairperson. And that's why I keep saying, Fred, if you don't put them duties in there, whoever comes next will be creating their own duties. And I think that needs to be, everybody needs to know what they're supposed to do, from the chair to the executive board. If it's written, it doesn't matter who is in that place. Everybody's going to follow those rules and regulations. And I think that's what's missing. And that's why we having all this conversation.
Thank you, Ms. Moses. Ms. Hackett-Vieira.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Fred, well, no, let me just speak to the whole board, including you, Fred. Every organization, well, not every organization, many organizations and committees have bylaws. And that's how the organization is governed. So it's in my view, it's a governing tool. So I agree with Pat Moses. If the bylaws for community boards mostly come out of the city charter, which is a across the board, a citywide document, if ours has not been revised in 500 years, then it is with an effort towards expediency and clarity that we take a look at what may have worked in 1975 that's not working in 2022, and suggest, everybody has the opportunity to suggest, all 48 of us or how many of us are on the board, so make suggestions. We could take a look at it. Fred says we'll have an opportunity to discuss that. Okay, and no, I'm opposed to creating another committee. Fred's right. Subcommittee attendance has always been a problem. It continues to be a problem, and I don't see this as a power grab, because Pat Moses is right. If every officer in the organization's duties and responsibilities is spelled out, then it doesn't matter the name, it doesn't matter the person, male, female, or otherwise. Everybody will know what that person's responsibility is. So no, we can't continue to drag this on. The community board is not for anyone's personal issues to be worked out. Okay, it's about serving the community. The community is not involved with the bylaws for the community board. That is mostly spelled out in the city charter, which governs all community boards. I think Pat Moses is right. In order for us to get educated and understand what it is we're talking about and what we mean to be talking about and what we should be talking about, we should take a look at what other community boards have in place, pick out what we like that community board 29 might be doing that's helpful and positive and relevant to the 21st century, and see if that will work for us. And if it can, yes. And if it doesn't, well, it works for them, but it doesn't work for us. But we have to move forward. I'm tired of tabling. I agree with Naomi Baptiste. I'm tired of babble talking, personal agendas, and wait until I could read every single line before I could make a relevant decision and a relevant choice. You have the opportunity, as long as you show up to the meeting, to vote no. You're able to vote no. Suki's right. She's not afraid to vote no if she's not clear, she doesn't understand something. She's not afraid to abstain, and everybody on the board has that same option. If it makes sense, if you agree with it, if you want us to move forward, vote yes. And if you don't, you have an option. We're all grown. Our time is valuable. Our time is precious, and we need to move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I see. Next, we're gonna have Primo, I have Naomi Baptiste, and then I have Warren. We're gonna close on Warren because we just want to get we want to conclude the business for this evening. Go ahead, Primo.
Yeah, just real briefly wanted to agree with Tessa, agree with Suki, and somebody else, and with Pat as well. All super valid opinions. I believe we've already voted on a motion to make a committee, and we have, and the motion didn't pass. I think that we should definitely vote on the agenda, the items separately, the bylaws. That would be my strong recommendations, that people can pick and choose which ones to do. And my question is also, are we planning to do this in a larger community board meeting? In some ways, I'd almost also advocate for holding a separate meeting for this vote, but I don't know if that's even possible within the realm of restrictions and rules. That's all.
Just to answer the question, the idea is at least some of the groundwork conversation we can have during the information session, and we can reserve the votes, the actual votes, for the board meeting. I think the information session will help inform how this should go, what makes the most sense when we get there. So to the point where if we combine a bunch of these, some of these are okay, great, we can do that. One motion, we just entertain that at the board meeting and we're done. Or it's none of them or any combination. But I think at least that working meeting will help us to kind of get better in terms of that answer. And we're not going to waste an entire, let me not say waste. I don't think we need an entire meeting for that, but we need to be efficient with our use of time with that. Yes, Ms. Baptiste, I see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for everyone speaking on the matter at hand. For myself, I would say yes to a committee, but I understand that everybody's time is valuable. Right now it's 10:05. I have 2 young children that I have to get ready to go to school. I know that's my personal thing going on, but I'm just saying that with the longevity of everybody's opinion and facts that are not inconclusive, because some people did not go back and read the things that come in the emails or whatever, I believe that the information session will be perfect. I also believe and would love to adhere that maybe in the committee, maybe you can have some questions that the committee would have within the information session, where maybe it can be a combination of the two, that it can help everyone to understand the 40 minds or 48 minds that make this whole board. Maybe we can come up to one understanding as a consensus to do the right thing. Also, I just want to say this. I think that if we all work together and the committees come together, then we can have the best community board 9. Unfortunately, we have a lot of opinions that people make facts. We have a lot of ideas that need to be addressed. And I don't want to be long-winded because guess what? We don't have time. So I thank you for this share. I would love to speak more, but unfortunately, we do not have the time. So we have to fulfill an agenda. And unfortunately, when you try to make a comment, it's only 2 minutes. We have 48 people who are trying to all express what's going on in every quadrant of Community Board 9. So I just want to say thank you for your time. I hope that we have, how about just an air out session? You have a problem in your area? Give a session for that. You live in Crown Heights? Give a session for that. You live in PLJ or PG, whatever? Give a session for that. You got something on Bedford Avenue, Ebbetsfield? Give a session for that. The reason why, because we don't have the time to air out every quadrant of CB9. We're trying to do our best, but it is very unfortunate that we don't have. Why doesn't the community want to come? That's another question, but I don't have time for that. So thank you for the time. Hopefully, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, because it is Christmas. Let's talk about what we're gonna do with the kids. How about the community board having Santa with the kids? How about having something with the adults? Maybe we can make a spa day for all the adults with all these opinions. So thank you
Ms.
for your
Baptiste,
time.
we can just keep
Bye.
it to the motion
No,
now.
that's it. No,
All right, thank you.
that is it. Bye.
All right.
Yeah. thank you.
We're almost there. I just ask everyone, all we need is just a couple more minutes. We're going to get through this. Warren, we see you. You are the last one, and then we're going to vote. We're going to call the question.
Hey, it's Warren. Hello, everyone. 3 points. Number one, I believe you've already voted down as a board the committee. So I don't understand the resurgence of that discussion.
We never had a vote.
Well, let's get that from the horse's mouth, Kyrie. The second thing is that I think it's very important to understand we're having an information meeting, and that should really be the place to discuss everything, to set the tone for the vote in January. So whether you're for or against, by all means, attend this meeting. Let's get it on the agenda and we'll talk about it. The last thing is that our spreadsheet is open and we couldn't be more transparent. So in the case of Rabbi Berman, if you have issues, put it on the spreadsheet and let's discuss it. Let's not make generic conversation.
Warren, it's not open
Thank
to make
you.
comments.
Okay. No. Order of the day.
Not open, that's not true.
Order of the day. Order of the day.
Cannot comment on suggestions.
Rabbi Berman. Order of the day. Warren, finish your
Thank
comment, and then we'll
That's my
close.
comments. Thank you. Let's vote.
Okay. All right. That was the last comment. The speakers list was closed. We are now going to call the question, and we are going to vote on the motion on the floor. So the motion on the floor is for Community Board 9 to vote on the amendments to the bylaws at the January 2023 meeting. The vote in favor is for us to commit to the informational session, which will be scheduled, as well as the vote. And a vote in opposition means you are not in favor of voting in January for on the amendments that are forward. All right, Madam Secretary, please call the roll. Board members, please make sure you are listening for your name. Unmute quickly, mute right after that, so that way we don't have too much background noise. Madam Secretary, whenever you're ready. Oh, you're on mute.
Me again.
Good. The vote is to vote on the bylaws in January. Okay. Kyrie Aline,
No.
Nicholas Almanar,
Yes.
Fred Baptiste,
Yes.
Naomi Baptiste,
This is for the information session as well, correct?
That will be done as well.
yes.
Then yes.
John Beckles Jr.,
Yes.
Rabbi Berman,
No.
Warren Burke.
Is that me?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Augustine Blackwell,
Yes.
Celeste Chase,
No.
Suki Chow,
Yes, but can you please make the information session right before the board meeting so it doesn't
Yes.
clash with other things?
Absolutely.
absolutely.
We'll work with the district office on that.
Tessa Vieira Hackett,
Absolutely, yes. Let's
thank you.
move forward.
Bishop Gonzalez,
Yes.
Abina Hatchfield,
Yes.
Prima Lozana,
Yes.
Fran Leopold. Fran,
Yes.
thank you. Mina Lagote. Michael Liberg. Michael?
Mike's phone went dead.
Yeah, okay. Matthias Lemberger? Matthias? He's not there anymore. Okay, he's not there. Courtenay?
Yes.
Christian?
Yes.
Letwin?
No.
Pat Moses?
Yes.
Ryan Pierceable? Ryle, he's not there anymore. Mr. Milford Pruitt?
Yes, yes.
Unella Rumperi? He's not there anymore. Dexter Roberts?
I abstain.
Okay, one abstention. Rashida Sadiq?
Yes.
Debbie Timothy?
Yes.
Linda Watson Lord, yes. Miss Westerdahl, Teresa Westerdahl?
Teresa Westerdahl voting no.
Thank you. Lorianne Wosley?
Yes.
Miss Cheryl Wright?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Give me 1 minute, one abstention.
If you're a board member, if you did not hear your name called, please say so at this time, so we can record your vote.
Okay, I don't think none of the people got everybody.
There are persons who did not answer for their names when they were called. Can you recall the names again?
Who's that? Who did not answer?
I had 4 names. Michael Liberg, is he on?
Michael Lightberg is not there.
Matthias Limburger,
He's not there.
And Rhea Peerbooms.
He's not there.
and Unella, was it Unella on there?
Unella, I think Unella said yes, hold on.
I don't think I see her, actually.
Hold on.
I see her.
Yeah, but
Sure.
hold on. Yeah, I thought she answered. Hold on. No, Unella's not there.
Correct. Yes.
I'm looking, I'm
Unella is
looking
not
at,
on anymore.
yeah, I'm looking at the attendance on the side. That's why I can't.
Okay,
It's not there.
all right, those are the 4 I didn't have. Okay, so recording the
I
votes for
see
those members.
there. She's
Unella's
there.
on there.
She's there now?
She's on
She's
there.
there.
She's been there.
She's on, but I didn't hear her speak.
She's
Yeah,
definitely there.
Yeah, she's, Unella Ron Perry. She moved because she took, Miss Ron Perry. Because if she unmute herself, then she goes to the
Yeah.
top and she's not alphabetically.
She's
You're
on-
Right,
not a
yeah,
right
that's
per-
interesting.
Right.
Let me ask to start video. She's unmuted.
Right. So if she goes to the top. Can she, I think she should be able to hear us, but we can't hear her.
Okay,
She's unmuted. She's unmuted.
okay, we don't have a vote unless she's able to vote. Record an abstention for her right now because we don't have any vote, yes or no. And she can correct it afterwards.
All right. So make an abstention for her. So that's 2 abstentions.
Mark as an abstention. She's present. Yeah, she's present. We just can't see her.
She's present. Okay.
Okay. What is the tally?
Hold on a
What?
minute. You just,
I have Miss Perry on the line now. She's there. Nelly,
she's no?
what is your vote?
I'm sorry.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ron Perry.
She's a yes?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. With that. I've got 1, 2. I gotta make sure these knows. Got 5 no's. I'm just making one addition, last try. I've got 21 yes, 1 abstention, and 5 no's.
Okay, 21 in favor, 5 no's, 1 abstention. Motion carries. All right, so the amendments will be added as part of the agenda at the January meeting. The bylaws require that votes on amendments, there's 10 days notice provided to the community board. That written notice will be formally given out to the board as well. We will make sure that the amendments are posted and made available for all members of the board and for the public as well to review. We'll work with the district office to confirm a date for an informational session. If members of the board have any questions, please make sure to bring those, or you can even email them in advance. So that way we can research and provide the appropriate answers as well. I want to thank the board for doing this. This vote means we are going to consider it and hopefully make movement on it. So we leave it to the board. We leave it to everyone to just look it over and see where your conscience leads you if you have enough information. But we're going to move forward. I thank everyone for all of your time. Actually, before we do that, is there any new business? Very, very quickly, is there any new business that we need to know about? We can make the referrals to either the office or the committees. Any new business at this time for the board? Okay, hearing none. Again, thank you, everyone. We're going to make sure we get all the information out. As you heard from the DM report and my report, there's a lot of work for us to do. But I want to thank you for your respectful and diligent commitment to this board, for the work you do, for the comments you're doing. You're thinking about this, and you can feel the passion everyone has for this community and the district. I thank you. I wish everyone a very happy and blessed holiday. As a side note, I also do want to note, without mentioning names, this year we've also had a lot of losses as well. So we have members of the board, we have members of our community who are going through things. So please make sure you keep everyone in your prayers. You say that extra prayer for everyone who needs it. For those who have suffered loss, for those who are cold, who are hungry, and who don't have all the blessings that many of us get to enjoy. But thank you again. It's my honor and privilege to serve as your chair. I thank my executive, sound like somebody with my generals. I thank the officers of this board for your service and sacrifice, for all the things you do for this community. I thank all the chairs for the work you do, for the leadership. I thank all the board members for all the work you do. And again, it's just a privilege and honor to be able to work with everyone. And last but not least, our district office team. Woo, you guys are just the best. I can't say it enough. I can't sing your praises enough. Thank you for everything you do. And with that, everyone, please have a happy, safe, blessed holiday. Wear your masks. Take care of yourselves and wish your families all the best. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I, Naomi
to
Baptiste,
adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
Naomi Baptiste, do I have a second?
Second,
Second, Tessa
Barbara.
Hackett Vera.
That's Akivira. You get that second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
Everybody,
hear a
have
majority.
Merry Christmas and a good
We
night.
stand adjourned. Madam Secretary, time is now 10:29. Everyone, take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Happy
Bye.
holidays to
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Everybody, Merry Christmas
Take
if I don't
care.
see you all.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Happy New Year.